Chapter 101, Part 1. Although the Sky Empire's army made a lot of noise on Ghost Island and the capital of flowers, but the civilians of Wano seemed indifferent and could even be said to be indifferent. After all, the Beast Pirates, plus Korizumi Orochi subordinates, had made Wano country a mess. The huge arsenals in various places not only polluted the land, but also squeezed the young labor force among the civilians. This is another reason why the remnants of Kazuki can make a comeback later. In Noah's opinion, Korizumi is a fool among fools. Your Korizumi clan is being persecuted by the Kazuki clan, so you have no problem killing the Kazuki clan. But you persecuted even civilians and deliberately polluted the country, turning people's hearts against you and causing resentment among the people. It was simply a good hand of cards that was played to pieces. I really can't understand Korizumi's brain circuit. Shiki took Liang, Robin and others to fully control the flower capital. And Mary also led people from the supervision department to secretly help screen the soldiers of the original Orochi group and the remaining personnel of the Yudingban and the Imperial Palace banner. Noah was also in the Flower City at this time. He came here to recycle devil fruits, and also to use those good materials to create new apostles. The fruits of Korizumi Orochi and Korizumi Shamaru were directly recycled, and the reborn Yamada Orochi fruit and barrier fruit were obtained. These two people have no transformation value. Next came the two phantom beast species, Kaido and Yamato, and their bodies were strong enough. Noah had no mercy at all and transformed them into apostles. Queen, Yamato, Big Mouth True God Fruit, Pope, Kaido, Blue Dragon Fruit. The reason why he did not hesitate to transform Yamato was because the opponent was a big fan of Kazuki Oden. Even if he could temporarily appease him, there would be great uncertainty in the future, and he might even turn back when dealing with Kazuki's remnants. Noah didn't have the confidence to use his thoughts to change this kind of idiot fan, and he didn't want to waste time. Only by directly transforming him into an apostle could he avoid future troubles. The same is true for Kaido. It is basically impossible for the other party to undergo ideological transformation and surrender. Even if the transformation into an apostle would prevent the two of them from using conquerors, it would still be a general level and a deputy level helper. Then he transformed Jin, Quinn, Jack, Black Maria, Fosfu, and Shermu. However, only Jin and Black Maria became the apostles of the Major Arcana deck, and the other four were all apostles of the Minor Arcana deck. Moon, Ember, Pteranodon Fruit, Priestess, Black Maria, Ancient Tarantula Fruit. As for Runty and Peggy Wan, although they both ate the fruit, they are still 8 years old and 6 years old, and can still undergo ideological transformation. Immediately afterwards, Noah transformed the captured Kwangshiru and gave him the Yamada no Orochi fruit. Judgment, Kwangshiro, Yamada no Orochi fruit. At this point, Noah's Major Arcana deck has collected 16 apostles, leaving only 6 empty slots. Still missing are the Fool, the Lovers, the Wheel of Fortune, the Hanged Man, the Tower, and the Star. After Noah transformed the apostles, he took away Kaido, Yamato, Jin, Quinn, Jack, and Kwangshilang. The remaining Black Maria, Shermu, and Fosfu stayed behind. Plus the Daz, Weepa, Hermit, Sun, and Robin originally planned for Shiki. The core cadres of the entire Sky Empire are already in place. Shiki, who controlled the Flower City and Onigashima, and with the cooperation of Mary, quickly purged the evil members of the Beast Pirates and Orochi group. These people were not wasted. The more powerful ones were used as experimental subjects, and the more ordinary ones were sent to the Rum Kingdom and handed over to Luo and Barton for organ transplantation, blood extraction, and finally draining out their vitality. Back and forth, Barton harvested the vitality of more than 30,000 villains. He used more than half of the vitality reserved before, and it skyrocketed again. Obviously, the ordinary members of the Beast Pirates are basically villains with a lot of evil doing. Except for a few children like Runty, the rest have been dealt with. There are also more than 8,000 villains in the Orochi group. After more than a month of purges and re-recruitment, the Sky Empire only gained about 20,000 troops in Wano, and they were still ordinary combat forces. Of course, Shiki didn't care too much about the more than 20,000 ordinary soldiers. He just wanted these people to fight against public security and stability. The real battle would depend on the more than 1,000 people brought by the Noah family. In order to win people's hearts, Shiki started a work for relief plan as soon as he took control of Flower City. After more than a month of work for relief, those civilians who were in extreme poverty basically had enough food. This was why the Sky Empire was able to recruit more than 20,000 people in the Flower Capital. As time goes by, the Sky Empire's control over Wano country becomes stronger and deeper. Robin, who is in charge of intelligence work, is currently reporting to Shiki the various intelligence she has secretly collected over the past month. The above situation is the current underground forces in Wano country. 5 gangsters, 3 illegal businessmen, 17 large-scale bandit forces, 39 noble families. Ha ha ha, that's great. This kind of rotten thing should be completely swept into the trash. Shiki the Noah family behind them has money, materials, and strength, and there is no need to compromise with these forces. Robin, I'll leave this matter to you and Liang. Let's start with the gangsters and unscrupulous businessmen. I understand. Robin nodded. She had never been an innocent person. She had seen too much darkness. While she longed for light in her heart, she was also even more intolerant of sin. Especially after reading 5 volumes of dragon slaying and through constant investigation, she found that compared to gangs, pirates, and bandits, unscrupulous businessmen and nobles were the real source of evil. Because it was these unscrupulous businessmen and nobles who caused the poverty of the common people and made many people choose to take risks. Pirates, gangsters, and bandits are to be killed. Unscrupulous merchants and noble kings must be eliminated. Otherwise, the world will not fundamentally change. Robin and Liang took their elite members and quickly attacked the gangsters in the Flower City. Regardless of whether they were wrongly accused or not, they would all be detained first. Anyway, when Mary examines it, it will be revealed immediately whether it is a human or a ghost. And Shiki is not idle. He is looking for the remnants of Kazuki hidden in Wano country, as well as those possible devil fruits. The first target targeted by Shiki. Naturally, he is an arrogant Azura boy. Although this guy was very strong, it was a pity that he met Shiki who had no martial ethics. He was directly beaten and taken away, and the bandits took him into custody. Immediately afterwards, Shiki marched into Kuri Castle and captured all the gangsters that Kazuki Oden had collected before. As for the other daimyo, Shiki is very grateful to Orochi and Kaido for solving all these troubles. Now only one Shimatsuki Ieyasu is left, still hanging on. Chapter 101, Part 2. And the coward Kazuki Sukiyaki, hiding in the Bamboo Hat Village, and Kazuki Hayori who works as a geisha in the arcade. As long as these people are dealt with, even if the remnants of Kazuki return from time and space in the future, they will not be able to change the world. Chapter 102, Part 1. Doli Village. The residence of Hitatsu Tenguiyama. Kazuki Sukiyaki, who disguised himself as a swordsmith, was also shocked by the sudden change in the Flower City. However, he did not choose to stand up, but continued to carve the beautiful girl doll here, silently waiting for the day of the prophecy to arrive. In the quiet basement at night, Kazuki Sukiyaki, who had just finished carving a beautiful girl doll, touched his hungry belly and prepared to go to the kitchen to get something to eat. That's when he opened the wooden door to the basement. A figure wearing a bamboo hat and a windbreaker with a red cloud pattern on a black background was sitting silently in the living room. Who are you? Kazuki Sukiyaki was shocked. Sure enough, just like Kachiki, the day you are waiting for will never come. The hermit casually patted Kazuki Sukiyaki on the head. The terrifying corrosive power was instantly unleashed, and Kazuki Sukiyaki didn't even have time to scream before it turned into a ball of blood. Target cleared. Vic, who came over temporarily to provide support, came up from the ground and said, "The weapons this guy made are pretty good. There are dozens of good sharp knives hidden underneath, as well as 2 ordinary sharp knives and a big sharp sword-level demon knife. And there are also others nearby. This devil fruit was found in a small canyon. 2nd-generation ghost and the dango fruit?" The hermit picked up the 2nd-generation ghost and didn't care about the strange aura of the demon's sword at all. "If you don't want to be destroyed by me, surrender immediately, otherwise..." As soon as he finished speaking, the corrosive energy in the hermit boiled, mixed with armed domineering energy and poured into 2nd-generation Kitetsu. 2nd-generation Gite felt the corrosive energy of destruction, and the blade vibrated crazily, and then stopped vibrating completely. The hermit immediately put away the corrosive energy, and then used pure armed color domineering infusion. The injection effect was very smooth, and it was easy to touch the core of the sword spirit. Apparently 2nd-generation Kitetsu also gave in. As Noah's apostle, the hermit's character is a fusion of Hanover and Noah. He has an attitude towards this kind of uncontrollable foreign object. If you don't surrender, you will be destroyed. After taking down 2nd-generation Kitetsu, he randomly inspired a card. Magic card, teleport, instantly transport the dumpling fruit to the castle space. As his abilities developed further, Becky's castle space has expanded into a supergiant castle, with a size of 3 kilometers times 3 kilometers times 1 kilometer. At this time, the interior of the castle space is divided into various functional areas, including the part where Becky fights the embodied castle giant outside, that is, the battle zone. There is also a material reserve area, emergency medical area, escape guidance area, item receiving area, fruit recycling area, temporary detention area, comprehensive transportation area, and central control area. Within these areas, there are hundreds of members of the Noah family on duty in shifts. For example, the dango fruit that was just delivered was immediately registered by the staff, and the superiors were notified to hand over the devil fruit to Noah for safekeeping as soon as possible. Vic manipulated the surrounding rocks and led the hermit into the ground. For those with the rock fruit ability, the underground is like a dragon entering the sea. Except for avoiding some underground water veins, it can basically flow unimpeded. After leaving Doli village, the two quickly moved from the Kuri underground to the nearby town of Ebisu. 2 days later, in a mountain forest northwest of Ebisu town, Shimatsuki Ayasu, who was still alive, was directly dissolved into a pool of blood by the hermit. Continue to the northern cemetery in Lingho district. After finding the Gyuki Maru hidden here, Vic and the hermit didn't have any nonsense. This kind of special individual who eats the Rinrin fruit is usually very stubborn. Unless he is raised from an early age, there is no way to reform his mind. Vic captured Gyuki Maru, then used the Sea Tower stone cuffs to seal his abilities, and then sent him back to the castle space to recover the devil fruit. Other side, Robin and Black Maria have initially completed the purge of the flower capital area. All the underworld gangs and unscrupulous businessmen have been wiped out, and the prison in Rabbit Bowl has become overcrowded for a while. At this moment, Robin and Black Maria came to the arcade. The two stopped at the door of a room. There were bursts of deserted shamisen music coming from inside. Crunch! Black Maria pushed open the wooden door. The girl who was kneeling inside saw Black Maria and Robin. Her face was very calm. Sir Maria, Xiao Zi is polite. She is indeed a beauty, but it's a pity that our positions are different. Robin smiled and looked into the girl's big eyes. Hearing this, Kazuki Hayori's heart suddenly tightened. Robin's eyes were deep and he said to himself, "Will prophecies really come true? It's a pity that you can't see it anymore." Kazuki Hayori trembled slightly. In an instant, Black Maria's spider silk tied up Kazuki Hayori. "Don't be afraid. My sister will let you leave quietly." "No." Poof. The venom was injected instantly, and Kazuki Hayori's face began to turn purple, and then he quickly fell into coma and died completely in less than 10 seconds. Robin was very calm throughout. She knew very well what Noah was thinking, and she must eradicate any enemy to avoid future troubles. Being too kind will harm others and yourself. Since the Noah family took over Wano, it has meant a fight to the death with the Kazuki family. They have replaced Kaido and Kurizumi Orochi and become the big villain that the Kazuki family must defeat. Since they are destined to be enemies, there is no need to show mercy. Black Maria then ignited the spider silk, and Kazuki Hayori's body was instantly ignited. It was one of the family rules of the Noah family not to leave the body of an important enemy. Suddenly Robin's phone buzzed. "This is the garden. What's going on?" "Sir, the power signal has been detected. The communication parties are Minamoto Ryuichi, the former finance minister of the flower capital, and Kamiju Hiratatsu of the Hakamai region. In the content of the call, Minamoto Ryuichi plans to contact nobles from other regions to select a suitable candidate from the remaining Shimatsuki, Fujetsu, and Ugetsu clans and support him as the new general of Wano country. In addition, Minamoto Ryuichi also plans to introduce the Whitebeard pirates to fight against our Sky Empire. He plans to send his son Minamoto Taraji as an envoy to the Whitebeard pirates to serve as a lobbyist." A sneer appeared on Robin's face. "Did you start jumping over the wall after seeing our actions? Continue to monitor." "Yes." "Hang up, bug." Robin and Black Maria left the deserted arcade. Just when the two of them walked out of the arcade, hundreds of masked warriors appeared in the streets. "Kill. Avenge the boss. Damn intruder." Robin looked at these warriors expressionlessly. What despicable parasites. Flower World Mandala. In an instant, a lot of flowers appeared on the ground around them, and the flowers exuded strong narcotic toxins. Flower of Hair, 10,000 Snakes. Chapter 102, Part 2. The flowers on the ground suddenly turned into countless lion majesty, entangling hundreds of warriors in an instant. Under the double blow of narcotic toxins and hair snakes, these warriors were wiped out in an instant and died tragically on the street. The spies from all sides hidden around him couldn't help but feel cold all over. After a while, people from the city defense army also came over. Lord Garden, I'm very sorry. Robin waved his hand. Okay, it's just some parasites. Please clean up here. The squadron leader breathed a sigh of relief. Yes. Chapter 103, Part 1. Returning to the governor's mansion, which was transformed from the former general's mansion, Robin and Black Maria did not pay too much attention to the assassination just now, because both of them knew very well that these Ronin warriors were just pawns, and the power behind them was the key. Nobles, gangs, and unscrupulous businessmen can't wait. Robin looked through the pieces of information, and the more he read, the more he felt that this country was sick, and it was terminally ill. Black Maria took a puff of cigarette. It seems we have to put more pressure on them and let them jump out on their own. What about inheritance tax and personal income tax? Robin's eyes flashed coldly. Inheritance tax? Personal income tax? Okay. Black Maria, who has part of Noah's memory, naturally knows the relevant contents of inheritance tax and personal income tax. The next day, the streets and alleys of the flower capital are covered with stickers on the new law just promulgated by the governor's palace. The Emperor of the Sky Empire issued an order. From now on, the Fuso Governor-General region shall have jurisdiction over Huadu, Lingho, Baiwu, Juli, Tuan, Shimei, and Ghost Island, and will implement inheritance tax and personal income tax. The inheritance tax is levied on all citizens, and those whose assets are less than 10,000 yuan are exempt. Those with assets above 10,000 and below 100,000 are levied at 20%. Those with assets above 100,000 are levied at 40%. Personal income tax is levied on all citizens. Those whose annual income is less than 10,000 yuan are exempt. Those whose annual income is more than 10,000 yuan and less than 100,000 yuan are levied at 20%. Those whose annual income is more than 100,000 yuan are levied at 40%. If you fail to declare and pay taxes on time, the violator will be fined 10 times the tax. If the tax evasion exceeds 1 million, all assets will be confiscated and imprisoned for 10 years. If you refuse to cooperate, the Governor-General can use all means to impose sanctions. As soon as this decree came out, the people on the streets immediately started talking about it. However, the city defense soldiers who had been assigned to interpret the laws a long time ago immediately began to educate these civilians to avoid deliberate guidance. You people don't have to worry. Don't you know how much your monthly salary is now? A carpenter immediately realized that he worked at the construction site of the governor's mansion and only earned about 600 yuan for a full month. Even if he worked for a full year, he only earned 7,200 yuan. The team leader continued to explain, and this income is calculated on a family basis. If you have children or elderly people in your family, it will lower your annual income. Personal income tax has nothing to do with you. That's true. But those old men, although these civilians usually grovel to the nobles, if they are given the opportunity, they will not let go of gloating and adding insult to injury. This is human nature. Just by using this decree, the Governor-General successfully divided the common people and the nobility. Over time, not only the nobles in the Flower City knew about the new law, but the big families and nobles in other regions also received relevant rumors. The capital of flowers, Dongtian Street, Yuanfu. In the dry landscape garden of the mansion, Minamoto Ryuichi and several retainers looked extremely ugly after listening to the servant's report. The retainer Hiroshi Watanabe cursed angrily. Damn it, these pirates are really not good people. They issued such a vicious decree. He is going to make it impossible for us to survive. The head of the family can't wait any longer. In the past, Kurizumi was only harsh, but this Sky Empire has gone too far. Another retainer, Shintaro Yamama, also looked indignant. Encouraged by his retainers, Minamoto Ryuichi finally made up his mind. We really can't sit still and wait for death. I will immediately contact the noble families in other areas. Taraji, you have already mastered that power, right? Yes, Your Majesty. The blond young man kneeling next to him replied respectfully. Jinryuji immediately ordered. Very good. You immediately leave the country of Wano secretly and go to find the Whitebeard pirates. Whitebeard is Lord Odin's former captain. As long as you persuade him, we can expel the Sky Empire, the country of peace. Yuan Huji nodded. I will definitely live up to your trust. It's quiet at night. A figure climbed over the wall from the back door of Yuan Mansion and quickly disappeared into the night. After leaving the city of Flower Capital, the figure was revealed. It was Minamoto Taraji, and golden flame clouds were seen emerging from the soles of his feet. The flame clouds carried him into the sky and quickly flew towards the cliffs and waterfalls in the distance. Soon he was flying to the edge of the waterfall. At this moment, a sword energy swept across the sky. Koji's sight and color gave him an instant warning, but unfortunately he was too weak, so he could only avoid it in embarrassment. The next moment, more than a dozen water dragons surrounded him from all directions. "It's over. Father, I'm sorry. I'm going to break my promise." Koji felt the weakness and weight of his body. Shiki casually picked up Koji from the sea. "Another phantom beast-type user. This place is really evil, but you can't escape from my grasp after all." Send Taraji, whose abilities have been sealed by the sea tower stone handcuffs, to the castle space. Soon this phantom beast devil fruit was successfully recovered. This is also the 5th phantom beast species harvested by the Noah family in Wano. They are Kaido's fish fruit blue dragon form, Yamato's Inugaku Oguchi god form. The snake fruit of Kurizumi Orochi is the form of Yamata no Orochi. Gyukamaru's Rinrin fruit grand entrance form. Taraji's bird fruit new form. Plus the nine-tails foxes and vampires that Noah's family originally had. All of a sudden, he had 7 species of phantom beasts. The harvest from conquering Wano country was much greater than expected. Noah has already made preliminary arrangements for the great entrance fruit and new fruit. First of all, these 2 fruits will definitely not be used to make apostles. After all, there are already 3 phantom beast species among his great arcana apostles, and there is no need for the great entrance fruit and new fruit to add to the cake. Among them, the great entrance fruit was given to Nolan, the giant snake on the empty island, because the great entrance form is a monk soldier, similar to the form of the great Buddha in the Warring States period. After the giant snake Nolan ate this fruit, he turned into a giant and was endowed with the wisdom of a monk. His potential is very high. The new form was prepared to be given to Enel. The other parties work in the West Blue Governorate, and his ideological attitude made Noah very satisfied and decided to give the other party this fruit. Enel was confused after receiving the notice. However, he quickly came to Noah through the escape tunnel. Enel greeted respectfully. "Master Noah, long time no see. You have worked hard these years. Sit down." "Thank you, Lord Noah." Enel sat aside. Noah chatted with him for a while, and then got down to business. He took out the small box containing the fruit and said, "Enel, this is a fantasy beast fruit. If you want to eat it, I'll give it to you." "Phantom beast?" Enel's eyes widened. Chapter 103, Part 2. After training and studying over the years, he certainly knew the types of devil fruits and even more so the rarity of phantom beast. You must know that there are even 5 Logias in the family, but there are only 2 phantom beasts. Now facing a fantasy beast species, Enel naturally had no reason to refuse. "Sir Noah, I am willing to eat this fruit." "Then eat it." After receiving Noah's answer, Enel opened the small box with trembling hands and looked at the devil fruit inside. He swallowed and quickly bit into it. After a while, Enel ate all the pulp. Then he entered Nu's beast form. This is a fantasy beast with the body of a fox, the limbs of a tiger, the tail of a python, and the face of an ape. What abilities does this phantom beast have? Enel sensed the devil fruit ability in his body, and after a while, he revealed Nu's ability. Chapter 104, Part 1. January 5th, 1509 in the Haiyuan calendar. 2 months have passed since the Sky Empire took over Wano country. The New World is becoming more and more turbulent. Of course, other regions are not idle either. For example, in the East China Sea, the famous country of music was destroyed a few days ago. The red-haired pirates admitted their act of destroying the country and quickly entered the paradise. It is estimated that they will enter the New World soon. Another example is the Solbay Kingdom in South Blue. The Big Bear is known as the Tyrant, and its bad reputation has begun to spread throughout South Blue. The Kingdom of Flowers in West Blue fell into an internal rebellion. The weapons imported by the Don Quixote family through the Sea Transport King made the rebel forces within the Kingdom of Flowers grow stronger. The Revolutionary Army is also causing trouble in North Blue, overthrowing several bad kings and supporting new good kings. In addition, Sand Crocodile has also been extremely active recently, frequently traveling around the world and recruiting many bounty hunters to join his Baroque studio. The Sun Pirates are still wandering around the paradise, escorting some slaves back to their hometown. In the New World, the Sky Empire not only controls Wano country, but also fully takes over the peripheral territories previously controlled by the Beast Pirates. Those responsible for receiving these peripheral sites are divided into 3 core groups. They are Weipa and Shermu groups. Daz, Fazi Fu group. Liang is in a group alone. Regarding the previous affiliated pirate groups under the Beast Pirates, Shiki seemed to have an attitude of accepting all comers, but in fact, he concentrated all these pirate groups in one place and then killed them all. These pirate groups are all existences full of blood debts and crimes. They have no value at all in transformation and can only be used as experimental subjects, organs, and vitality suppliers. As for whether cleaning up these pirate groups will cause these peripheral territories to lose control, there is actually no need to worry at all. On the one hand, because the management level of the Beast Pirates is very low, they basically collect protection fees. For the residents of those islands, they are allowed to have internal autonomy, as long as they pay enough protection fees on time. On the other hand, thanks to Shiki's reputation, all forces dare not invade the Sky Empire's sphere of influence. Naturally, the entire sphere of influence of the original Beast Pirates was taken over by the Sky Empire. Unless they were able to defeat Shiki and the Sky Empire, invading now would be basically the same as seeking death. Even the world government has strictly ordered Marine to exercise restraint. After all, the deterrent power of Pia Piao fruit is too strong. Once Shiki goes crazy, unless Marine sends all its high-level combat forces to New World to garrison, there will be no way to prevent Shiki's revenge. Obviously, the world government is not willing to have a fierce conflict with the Sky Empire for the Beast Pirates' territory. The world government is standing still. Charlotte Linlin was frightened to death and is now strengthening the defense of the sea area of the world to guard against the invasion of the Sky Empire. Although Whitebeard was dissatisfied with Shiki's occupation of Wano country, he was not carried away by anger. Whitebeard had taken his son to fight against the Beast Pirates before. Although he could beat Kaido until he vomited blood, he couldn't keep Kaido. As soon as he approaches the waters of Wano, Kaido will directly enter the territory of the Whitebeard pirates to cause trouble, forcing Whitebeard to return. The mobility of the current Sky Empire is even more terrifying. Whitebeard is very afraid of the rejuvenated Shiki, so he suppresses the idea of restoring Odin. After all, in Whitebeard's heart, his sons are more important. There is no interference from external forces. Sky Empire's reception went very smoothly. Of course, this is also related to the simple and rough reception work. The Sky Empire did not immediately clean up the kings, nobles, gangsters, and unscrupulous businessmen of the island countries, but maintained the previous management method of the Beast's pirates. This is a short-term stopgap measure. After Shiki finishes handling the affairs of Wano country, he will take action to completely bring these island countries under the rule of the Sky Empire. A month has passed since Minamoto Ryuichi sent his son Minamoto Taraji to find the Whitebeard pirates. Since Wano's communication snail can only be used within Wano, if the distance exceeds about 1,000 kilometers, the signal of the communication snail will become worse and worse. Therefore, Yuan Longji did not realize that something was wrong with his son. However, as the time drew closer and closer, Yuan Longji and a group of nobles not only completed the internal integration, but also elected a new general. Robin looked through the information with a sneer on his face. The Gyuki snake god has appeared. It seems that we caught a big fish this time. There are 24,000 Ronin warriors, 6,700 servants of each family, 3,600 bandits, and 4,200 gangsters. There is really strength in numbers. Black Maria smiled and puffed away. Robin opened the curtains and looked at the moonlit night sky above the willow branches. Tonight will be a sleepless night. Leave the gangsters and Ronin samurai in West City to me. Black Maria took over this task. Then leave Dongcheng to me. A flower appeared above Robin's head and floated in mid-air. This ability is similar to that of a green bull. The sky above the aristocratic neighborhood in the East City. Robin looked at the mansion complex below. All 17 noble families in the Flower City were here. They disdained the concept of living in the same neighborhood as the common people, which was just convenient for Robin to do something. She landed lightly on the dry mountain water in the courtyard of Yuan Mansion. Flower of bone, falling bee swarm. Countless cherry blossoms are falling like raindrops. Yuan Longji, who was writing paperwork in the study, suddenly raised his head and looked out the window. Under the lights, cherry blossoms fell all over the sky. Sakura rain? Yuan Longji admired it subconsciously, but he soon realized, that's wrong. This season. However, it was too late. In the cherry blossom rain, the gray-white bone wasps attacked with lightning speed. Enemy attack. He kicked up the desk to block the bone wasps attacking from the window, then rolled to the knife rest and pulled out a large sword, willow leaf sword. More than a dozen bone wasps were split open by the airtight sword energy, turning into cherry blossoms all over the sky. Oh, someone come quickly. Help. Yuan Longji's face changed drastically. Damn it. He heard the screams of his wife and young son, as well as the calls one after another, and knew that the entire mansion had been attacked. Flower of bones, other shore. Not good. Yuan Longji warned wildly when he saw it. He immediately jumped on the beam, split the roof, and rushed out. The moment he rushed to the roof, dense bone spurs sprouted from the ground, penetrating the entire house, blooming like flowers from hell. Flower of bones Susanoo. The huge skeletal giant suddenly rose up. Flower of bones, image of Shura. Chapter 104, Part 2. The skeleton giant instantly transformed into a 3-headed and 6-armed form, holding a bone knife on its arm. Yuan Longji brandished his knife in rage. Die! Willow leaf 9 flashes. Robin in the skull giant's forehead. Hell's punishment. Countless bone spurs emerged from the ground, and the entire aristocratic neighborhood was instantly covered with bone spurs. All the weak people inside were penetrated by the bone spurs. None of them died on the spot, and they were still hanging on the bone spurs, screaming and wailing. However, Yuan Longji's slashing attack had no great effect and only cut off a small part of the bone armor. Robin knew that the remaining people were all masters with extraordinary skills. She clasped her hands together and said, Flower World Mandala. Countless flowers bloom on the bone spurs. Narcotic pollen drifts in the wind. When Yuan Longji saw this scene, his face became more and more gloomy. He jumped with all his strength. The willow leaves will fall and chop. Click. The skeletal giant's forehead bone was split open. Yuan Longji rushed into it instantly, and with a knife wrapped in armed domineering force, it penetrated directly through Robin's chest. Robin looked at him with a smile. Flower of hair, snake bite. The old power was gone, but the new power was not born. Yuan Longji was instantly entangled with Robin's hair, and the fangs of more than a dozen hair snakes had penetrated into his body. I'm not willing to give in. I have news for you. The man named Huji is dead. What? Yuan Longji's eyes widened, filled with pain and hatred. Chapter 105, Part 1. As Yuan Ryuzi was killed, the other remaining masters in the noble block saw that the situation was not good and immediately fled in all directions. It's a pity that Robin's Flower World Mandala is a large-scale skill. The more intense their activities are, the more pollen their bodies inhale. Originally, they could still rely on their armament, domination, and sword skills to resist those bone wasps and hair snakes, but now they are becoming increasingly weak. Under Noah's guidance, Robin changed many of his previous habits of using abilities. For example, for the ability of limbs to manifest, except for the necessary sensory organs and the internal muscles of the exoskeleton, the flowers of other limb organs should be used as little as possible, and the flowers of bone and hair should be used instead. The bone flower is not a real bone, but a combination of horniness similar to fingernails. This is to avoid one of the weaknesses of the flower of organs, which is empathy. Because there are no nerves in the cuticle, it naturally does not transmit pain to the body. If it were the previous flower of organs mode, once Robin's flower of organs was attacked by an enemy, she would have to suffer the same pain. The accumulation of pain would be enough to drive a person crazy. In addition to bone flowers and hair flowers, Robin is also looking for all kinds of strange flowers in nature for reference. Develop various poisonous flowers, medicinal flowers, and strange flower abilities. This is also the fundamental reason why Robin's strength has soared to the level of an elite lieutenant general. She imitated part of the stomach baron's abilities and developed the gluttony flower, which allows her to gain huge energy reserves through crazy eating. If you want to fight a protracted war, Robin can spend 10 days and 10 nights with the enemy without any problem. The bone spur hell and flower world that just covered this noble neighborhood did not consume even 1% of her physical strength. As for the knife stabbed by Yuan Longji, in fact, it is just Robin's bone flower clone, and her true body is actually hidden underground. In terms of the degree of weird ability development, Robin is second only to Noah among the Noah family. The concept development of Paramecia Devil Fruit sometimes really depends on the level of knowledge and openness of thinking of the ability user. After Robin destroyed the entire aristocratic neighborhood, he left a scene littered with corpses. When the city defense troops who rushed over saw the corpses on the ground and the broken buildings, they had a look of awe on their faces. Other side, Black Maria also eliminated the entire gangsters and Ronin samurai in West City, but she did not kill them all like Robin. After all, these gangsters and Ronin can still be used as waste. Therefore, Black Maria just poisoned these people and asked the city defense troops who followed to take these people to Rabbit Bowl Prison. Similar situations happened one after another in Lingho, Nozomi, Julie, and Baiwu. Joshua, Vic, Hermit, Anthony, Tomini, and others secretly took action and destroyed the rebels on the list. It's a direct and merciless extermination. There is no need to retain this kind of aristocratic power. To deal with this kind of group, we must eradicate it and kill them all, because they will not be grateful to the Noah family for saving their lives, but will harbor hatred. If given the chance, these people will definitely come back. There are too many experiences and lessons in Noah's past life memories. When dealing with enemies, don't try to reason with them, but use physical means to eliminate them, because some people are stubborn. The arrogance formed by generations of nobles in the Flower City has long been integrated into their bones. Instead of trying to influence them in a thankless way, it would be better to send their whole family directly to see the Lord of Hell. As the dust of the Bloody Night settled, the entire resistance force in Wano was wiped out. The Sky Empire directly abolished the name of Wano Country and changed it to Fuso Province, which governed Huadu County, Juli County, Nozomi County, Tuan County, Baiwu County, Lingho County, and Onigashima County. As for the dozens of floating islands in the Sky Empire, Shiki placed 6 of them in the inland sea of Fuso Province to expand the original counties. The remaining 43 floating islands were relocated over a volcanic archipelago northwest of Fuso Province, and the Sky Province was established here. Regarding the more than 3 million people in the Fuso Province, Shiki decided to move part of the population to the Sky Island in the Sky Province after discussing with Noah and Robin. After all, if the population structure is not changed, it will be easy for Fusang Province to form a clique and breed ethnic groups. In the future, as Sky Empire gradually integrates the affiliated island countries of New World, this mutual migration of populations will become a normal method. The arsenal and Hailu quarry built by Kaido and Orochi in Fuso Province were not closed, but were upgraded. After all, Noah is not a fool like Kurazumi, and he cannot do such things as deliberately polluting his own land. By improving processes and adding pollution treatment equipment, as well as rationally allocating working hours, these factories quickly resumed production. The polluted land and rivers were also transported to a volcanic island by Shiki for centralized storage. Soon those lands could be cultivated again, and various advanced agricultural technologies and equipment allowed the agricultural production in Fuso Province to not only recover, but the overall output even exceeded the Kazuki Sukiyaki era. The economic system of the Sky Empire is biased towards the government-run economy, and the production and sales of various basic materials are monopolized by official enterprises. Small shops, small workshops, handicraft shops, and restaurants run by civilians are a supplement. Coupled with high taxes on the rich and inheritance taxes, this has basically inhibited the rapid accumulation of assets among high-income groups and prevented the gap between the rich and the poor from rapidly expanding in a short period of time. For the civilians in Fuso Province, they don't have many opinions about their current life. After all, there is no harm without comparison. In the previous era of Orochi, people were hungry and impoverished. Going back to the Kazuki era, civilians were also generally poor, and it was normal to not have enough to eat or wear or keep warm. Now I can eat enough, and even eat meat once or twice a month. No more intrusion from gangsters. No more ruthless street fights of Ronin samurai. No more aristocratic children bullying men and women. Who will miss the Kazuki clan, especially after the corruption of Kazuki Oden? The common people in Fuso Province now generally have no good impression of the Kazuki clan. Of those who longed for Kazuki's return, only the nobles and Kazuki's retainers remained, and most of these people had been eliminated. Only the old, weak, sick, and disabled who were sent to the future by Tainyushi were left. With the Sky Empire's population migration to various provinces, it is estimated that by the time Momonosuke and others appear, the population structure of Fuso Province will have been completely changed. Obviously, Noah had no intention of giving the other party a chance. Chapter 105, Part 2. The Sky Empire is constantly integrating internally, and the underground arms markets in various parts of the New World are becoming increasingly chaotic. However, the arrival of the Don Quixote family at this time just filled part of the vacancy caused by the loss of the Beast Pirates. On the other side, the red-haired pirates, who had just finished coating on the Sabaody Islands, were finally about to officially enter the New World. But at this time, New World's territory has already been divided up. Rayleigh and Shaki watched the red-haired pirate group ship dive. I hope Shanks won't be too impulsive. The Golden Lion is not easy to deal with now, Shaki guessed with some surprise. He actually lost an arm in the East China Sea. Could it be that there is a Sea Emperor-level master hidden in the East China Sea? Maybe. Rayleigh did not ask Shanks about the specific situation. Shanks only told him that he had bet his arm on the new era. You can read more daily new novels on fictionzone.net. Both sites share the same login details, so you don't need to sign up again. Chapter 106, Part 1. After completely controlling Fuso Province, Shiki is looking at the map of New World. The current sphere of influence of the Sky Empire is in the Central Sea area of the New World, including the land of Hara, Honeycomb Island, Sea of Hell, and other areas. Its area occupies about 17% of the New World. The sea area controlled by the Whitebeard pirates accounts for about 11% of New World. The Big Mom Pirates members, all nations, account for about 13%. Robin looked at the map and said, "Currently, the Sea of Hell does not need to be garrisoned, but the waters of Beehive Island do need to be garrisoned. Although Beehive Island was sunk by Shiki, there are still 18 inhabited islands and 83 uninhabited desert islands around it." But Shiki looked at the map and saw that the Honeycomb Island sea area was sandwiched between the Big Mom Pirates and the Whitebeard Pirates. It was nearly 4,200 kilometers away from the core area of the Sky Empire, and in the middle was the Big Mom Pirates, all nations. Although Shiki wanted to devour the Big Mom Pirates, it's a pity that he can't do so now. On the one hand, it is because the Sky Empire has not yet digested the territory of the Beast Pirates. On the other hand, it is because the Sky Empire has taken the lead. Now that the Sky Empire has stolen the limelight, if it continues to attack the Big Mom Pirates, it will force the Big Mom Pirates and the Whitebeard Pirates to join forces, and even the world government and marine will intervene. But now, if we do not annex the 10,000 Kingdoms Sea, we will face the problem of enclave management between the Honeycomb Island Sea and the Beast Sea. Although the Sky Empire has a fast-moving air fleet, the distance of 4,200 kilometers requires several days for each round trip. In the event of an emergency, they can only rely on the support of the Noah family behind them. This will expose the relationship between the Sky Empire and the Hidden One organization and may make the world government jump to the wall. Robin on the side obviously saw Shiki's doubts. She thought for a while and suggested, "Shiki, why don't we directly exchange territory with Wangwa and let the Big Mom Pirates hand over part of the territory near the Sea of Beasts, and we will transfer the Hive Island Sea and Hell Sea to each other?" Exchanging territory? Shiki narrowed his eyes and raised the corners of his mouth. "Ha ha ha, yes, I believe Charlotte Linlin will not refuse my small request, but it's not appropriate for me to come forward. Who would be more suitable to let me go?" Shiki thought for a while. The Liang is not suitable. After all, the caloric fruit was obtained from Owen. Although the other party does not know that we have fruit recovery technology, in order to avoid unnecessary conflicts, he should not go there. Black Maria, Shermu, Fazfu, Daz and Weepa are only at the level of Lieutenant General and are not qualified to represent the Sky Empire as envoys. After all, that crazy woman is moody and cannot suppress the opponent without strength. After thinking about it, Shiki found that apart from Liang, the Hermit could barely do it, but the Hermit's strength was only an elite Lieutenant General, and he was more skill-oriented, so he didn't have much advantage. Unless you use the magic card issued by Noah, but doing so will expose some of the family's trump cards, which is obviously not advisable. Suddenly Robin thought of someone. How about asking Monet to come over? Monet? Shiki's eyes lit up. She is indeed strong enough, and she has never been exposed. So let her go to all nations with the Hermit. After receiving Shiki's request, Noah quickly agreed to the matter. But since Monet is going to work in the Sky Empire, her position as the Sky Governor of Paradise will have to be handed over to someone else. Considering the special nature of Sky Island, Noah transferred Enel, who had previously served in West Blue, and arranged for Jin, the Apostle, to be there. Enel will serve as the Governor of Paradise Sky, and Lillian will serve as Deputy Governor. The Governor of South Blue is Kaido, the Deputy Governor is Guy Ram, and the control areas are the Storm Islands and the Lost Sea. The Governor of the East China Sea is Uncle Joseph, the Deputy Governor is Patton, and the control area is Rum Kingdom and Black Rock Sky Island. The Governor of West Blue is Becky, the Deputy Governor is Yamato, and the control area is the territory of the former 5 mafia gangs. The Governor of the Moon is Joshua, the Deputy Governors are Quinn and Jack, and the control area is the entire Moon. Unknowingly, the Noah family's Kingdom of Dawn already had such a vast territory, and its population soared to about 38 million. Among them, the East China Sea Governor General has 230,000, the South Blue Governor General has 120,000, the West Blue Governor General has 1.69 million, the Paradise Sky Governor General has 80,000, the Moon Governor General has 60,000, and the New World Governor General, Sky Empire, has 36 million. Except for North Blue, other areas of the Kingdom of Dawn have areas controlled by the Noah family. Of course, this does not mean that the Noah family does not have bases in North Blue, but these bases are managed by the Supervision Department and do not have ordinary civilians. The candidate has been determined. With the help of Arse Wormhole, Monet arrived at Sky Island, the capital of the Sky Empire. Monet, long time no see. Monet saw Robin's disguised identity and greeted with a smile. It turns out to be Miss Garden. Lord Noah sent me here this time. Do you plan to stay here in the Sky Empire? Robin nodded. Yes, after all, I need you and the Hermit to go to 10,000 kingdoms together to take charge of the territory exchange. Territory exchange? Robin then explained. After listening, Monet finally knew why he sent her here. This time when you go to Wangwa, you don't need to care too much about Charlotte Linlin's attitude. She will definitely agree to exchange territories. Monet smiled and nodded. Don't worry, I'm not the same person I was 3 years ago. After more than 3 years of training, whether it is weapons, knowledge, physical skills, or her fruit abilities, they have all been greatly improved. Maybe she can't beat Charlotte Linlin, but she can be on par with Katakuri. Coupled with Logia's ability to escape, it will be very difficult for the big mom pirates to keep her. And the Hermit's strength is not weak. If you adopt the death-to-death strategy, it is possible to kill Katakuri or Bao Bao, although there is a high probability that the big mom pirates will not take action. But Shiki and Noah don't want to take risks. After all, Charlotte Linlin is a moody and crazy woman. Especially when she suffers from eating disorder, she is even more inhumane. Soon Robin explained the details of the negotiation. The next day, an Ark spaceship took off from the Sky Province and headed straight for the waters of the world, and the sea at the entrance to New World. A huge sailing ship surfaced from the bottom of the sea, and then the diving membrane ruptured. Captain, which route should we choose? Beckman turned his head and asked. The red-haired Shanks split a series of huge hailstones and smiled. Kaido. Dressrosa Kingdom route. I heard that the Don Quixote family has been active in the nearby waters recently. Let's go meet this Shichibukai for a while. Doflamingo? Beckman raised his eyebrows. Then let's go to the Kingdom of Dressrosa first. Chapter 106, Part 2. Originally, the red-haired Shanks planned to go to the Whitebeard pirates first to meet with Whitebeard. But in the Sabaody Islands, through Shaki's information, he learned that Whitebeard had recently been wandering in the waters near Beehive Island, and he was wary of the Sky Empire and the Golden Lion. It was also learned that the Don Quixote family was frequently active in the waters near Dressrosa. He immediately had an idea in his mind. If he could not go deep into the central sea of New World for the time being, the sea near the Kingdom of Dressrosa could be used as a temporary foothold. Although the red-haired Shanks was very confident, he was still wary of the Golden Lion, so he did not choose to rush forward from the beginning. You can read more daily new novels on fictionzone.net. Both sites share the same login details, so you don't need to sign up again. Chapter 107, Part 1. February 5th, 1509 in the Hyuan calendar. A flying ark entered the core area of Wangwa Sea. The Big Mom pirates, who had already strengthened surveillance in the air, immediately discovered this uninvited guest. Soon Charlotte Linlin rushed from the castle on Cake Island, stepping on the dark cloud Zeus to the flying ark. Core combat forces such as Katakuri, Baguette, Perispero, Cracker, and Smoothie followed closely, either using moonwalk to push into the air, driving a Hamet ship, or using abilities to fly. In an instant, the atmosphere became tense. Boom. Borrow Noah's Conqueror's Hermit and instantly use Conqueror's Impact. Charlotte Linlin also breaks out Conquerors. Two waves of Conquerors' domineering energy collided fiercely in the sky above the Sea of Nations, shaking away the clouds in the sky. Monet also took action. Oxygen Snow, Suffocation Forbidden Zone. In an instant, the oxygen within a dozen kilometers around was solidified into snowflakes falling down. Katakuri's vision saw a terrible future, and he shouted, "Be careful, the surrounding oxygen has disappeared." What? Smoothie was startled, and then she felt difficulty breathing. Although she could hold her breath for dozens of minutes, the enemy's attack obviously would not last for only dozens of minutes. Others also experienced difficulty breathing. As soon as Monet took action, he gave the Big Mom pirates a disastrous start. The next moment, her body turned into snowflakes, and when she reappeared, she was already in front of the Hamet's fleet. Nitrogen snow, falling snow on Earth. A few seconds later, not only did heavy snow fall all around, but the sea surface also quickly froze, and the sea surface within a few kilometers was covered with ice. This ability? Katakuri's eyes widened. Suddenly, the Hermit jumped from the sky, followed closely by Charlotte Lin. Monet snapped his fingers. Suddenly, the oxygen that had been melted by the snow around him turned into a gaseous state again. Katakuri and the others also found that their breathing was normal, and they breathed a sigh of relief. Ms. Lin, good afternoon. The hermit took off his hat and greeted with a smile. Are you from the Sky Empire? Although Charlotte Lin looked ugly, she maintained restraint at this time. It was obvious that she was very afraid of the Golden Lion and the two guys in front of her. The hermit nodded. Your Majesty, the hermit, is the Foreign Affairs Manager of the Sky Empire. This visit to Wangwa is under the order of His Majesty Shiki, to discuss some matters with Her Majesty the Queen. I am Monet, the commander of the Sky Empire Blizzard Legion. Monet introduced himself with a smile. Well, your Sky Empire is really full of talents. Auntie looked at the two guys in front of her with a dignified look, a Foreign Affairs Manager with Conquerors, and a Legion Commander with Logia abilities. The effect of the powerful attack just now was very good. At this time, Katakuri, Longbread, Smoothie, Perispero and others did not speak. They were naturally in awe of the strong. What do you want to talk about, Shiki? Since Her Majesty the Queen has asked, I won't hide it anymore. I came here this time to exchange territory. The hermit got straight to the point. Monet also took out a map from his pocket and threw it to the ant. The ant took the map and started thinking about it. She quickly reacted. Is it for the territory in the sea area of Beehive Island? Her Majesty the Queen has a sharp eye. Opening the map, Auntie glanced at it. The map circled a part of the islands in the northwest sea of Wangwa. This part of the island is the southeastern side of the Sea of 100 Beasts. And in order to avoid overstimulating Charlotte Lin, the islands affiliated with Wangwa selected this time are all relatively far away from the core area of Wangwa. It includes a total of 10 inhabited islands and 76 uninhabited islands. In exchange, the Honeycomb Island Sea area has 13 inhabited islands, 83 uninhabited islands, and a Sea of Hell. But the account cannot be calculated like this, because the inhabited islands near Beehive Island have been ruled by the Rocks Pirates and the Achaku Pirates for decades, and have been turned into a mess. The Sea of Hell is even more uninhabited. As for the 10 inhabited islands on the Wangwa side, although life is average, at least the Big Mom Pirates only charge desserts and life taxes, and will not allow other pirates to enter them at will, burn, kill, and loot. Therefore, these islands are doing well, and have a very large population. The hermit said with a smile, if Her Majesty the Queen agrees to the exchange, Her Majesty Shiki can forget the previous things and promise not to actively invade the nations within 5 years. Charlotte Lin naturally heard the hermit's threat. Although she felt very frustrated, Charlotte Lin was not a completely brainless woman, but she still had some IQ when she was normal. How to calculate the population of the island? The hermit smiled and suggested, we will move the population from the Honeycomb Island Sea area. As for the population of the original Wangwa, you can move it if you are willing to move it. If you don't want to move it, we can also accept it. Charlotte Lin thought about it, and thought it was too troublesome. The combined population of those 10 inhabited islands is nearly 3 million. She is not Shiki. She has large-scale transportation capabilities and can move millions of people to the sea area of the Hive Island. It is a loss-making business, and it is better to leave it to Shiki. I'll give those people to you, but I want Shiki to pull the Beehive Island out of the sea for me. The hermit glanced at the ant and then nodded. I can agree to this matter on behalf of your Majesty. Since both parties have agreed to exchange territory, there is no need to waste time. The hermit and Monet flew back to the flying ark, and then quickly left 10,000 kingdoms. Marine, who was always paying attention to all the forces in the New World, quickly received some information. Although I don't know what Big Mom talked about with the messenger from the Sky Empire, the fact that the two sides didn't really fight meant that the two sides reached some agreement. The Marine Intelligence Office also attaches great importance to the emergence of another Logia ability user in the Sky Empire. According to the information from Sky Empire, the Sky Empire has a total of 4 legions, namely the Flying Legion, the Sun Legion, the Blade Legion, and the Beast Legion. Now it seems that another Blizzard Legion will be added. The Marine Intelligence Office is constantly updating its assessment of Sky Empire's advanced combat capabilities. For example, the Hermit who showed Conquerors domineering power in all nations, and the Fierce Sun who had a fierce battle with Big Mom in the Sea of Hell. In addition, Blizzard Monet can instantly create an oxygen-free zone of more than 10 kilometers and can freeze several kilometers of sea surface. The strength of these 3 people is no longer something that ordinary lieutenants of the headquarters can contend with. Unless they are elite lieutenants like Tsuru, Gion, and Cake, it will be difficult to fight one-on-one with each other. Marine had to raise the threat level of the Sky Empire to another level. However, although Marine and the World Conquest Government wanted to deal with the Sky Empire, they did not want to rush into it. Chapter 107, Part 2. Apparently they were worried about being retaliated by Shiki. Moreover, the position of Sky Empire at this time also made World Government and Marine very embarrassed. If you want to conquer the Sky Empire on a large scale, you must pass through the sphere of influence of the Whitebeard Pirates or the Big Mom Pirates. As long as the Big Mom Pirates and the Whitebeard Pirates don't get crazy, they will definitely not let Marine pass smoothly. As for using the trump card of Uranus, due to insufficient energy supply at this time, the number of times Uranus can be used is very limited. Before the Virgin Flame was developed, the Five Elders and Im would not easily use this kind of trump card. Chapter 108, Part 1. Over the next month or so, Sky Empire and Wangwa quickly completed the handover of territory. The various forces also figured out the general situation of the matter from the actions of Sky Empire and 10,000 Kingdoms. Cracker quickly took control of the waters of Honeycomb Island with a large number of Biscuit soldiers and Hamid ships, plus some small pirate groups affiliated with the Big Mom Pirates. During this period, Shiki also fished the Honeycomb Island that had sunk into the sea from the bottom of the sea and relocated it to the previous island base. This side of Sky Empire. In addition to the Blizzard Legion, which is still recruiting soldiers, the other 4 legions have initially completed the recruitment of soldiers. Each legion has a strength of 30,000 men. Currently, the Flying Legion is stationed in the Sky Province. The commander of the legion is Weepa, and the deputy commander is Mantis, who took the Barrier Fruit. The Blade Legion is stationed in Fuso Province. The legion commander is Daz, and the deputy legion commander is Apostle Faz Fu. The Liang Legion is stationed in the Southern Rapid Sea area, near the Whitebeard Pirates. The commander of the legion is Apostle Liang, and the deputy commander is Shur Mu. The Beast Legion is stationed in the Avery Sea area, near the Big Mom Pirates, that has just been exchanged with the Big Mom Pirates. The leader of the legion is Apostle Will, Velociraptor Fruit, and the deputy commander is Apostle Brian, Ocelot Fruit. As for the Blizzard Legion, it is planned to be stationed in the Turbulent Sea area in the north of Fuso Province, close to the Elbaf Kingdom of the Giants. The commander of the legion is Monet, and the deputy commander is Nolan, Sky Island Python, Rinrin Fruit Dao Dao. Form. In addition, Sky Empire has 4 core departments, namely the Ministry of Internal Affairs, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Ministry of Military Affairs, and Umbu. The head of the Ministry of Internal Affairs is Black Maria, the head of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is Hermit, the head of the Military Department is under the direct control of Shiki, and the head of Umbu is Robin. In order to make management easier, Shiki and Robin discussed and decided to adjust the islands in each sea area and divide them into administrative divisions. The Legion of the Sun is stationed in the Torrent Sea area and is planned to become a Torrent Province. The Ailey Sea area where the Beast Legion is stationed is planned to become the Rainbow Province. The Cyclonus Sea area where the Blizzard Legion is stationed is planned to become the Cyclonus Province. After completing the preliminary planning, Shiki and Vic, who secretly came to help, started the island moving project. Concentrate the islands within the planning area of 5 provinces. In order to prevent the island from being affected by earthquakes and tsunamis, not only the altitude of the island was raised, but also the submarine plates around the island were reshaped with the help of Vic's rock fruits. The altitude of these islands is generally around 300 to 600 meters, forming natural island fortresses. And in order to avoid being blamed all at once, although the islands of each province are concentrated in a sea area, each island is at least about 50 kilometers apart. As for the transportation problem, this is not a problem at all for the Noah family. The Ministry of Science and Technology soon launched several monkey version spacecrafts that can use solar energy as power for passenger and cargo transportation. At the same time, in order to strengthen defense, Emperor Cumulus was used to arrange aerial war fortresses over various border sea areas. Together with the island chain routes on the sea, it ensured that it was difficult for ordinary pirate groups to invade the Sky Empire. The so-called island chain route is because Shiki moved all the islands in the peripheral waters and artificially created a large islandless sea area. If you don't enter the Sky Empire through the island chain route, you will have to face at least 1,000 kilometers of islandless sea. However, there are troops from the Sky Empire stationed on the island chain route. Currently, there are 4 island chain routes in the entire Sky Empire, namely the Southern Rapids route, the Eastern Rainbow route, the Northern Hurricane route, and the Western Heaven route. The intersection of these routes is Fuso Province. Of course, the Fuso Province at this time not only included the original Wano country, but also the more than 800,000 people who had previously migrated from the Honeycomb Island waters were placed on nearby islands and became part of the Fuso province. All the forces in the New World were almost numb when they saw Shiki's great undertaking of moving the island, especially the world government. Marie Joya, among the powers that be. After reading the report from the CP organization, the 5 elders looked a little sad. This lion seems to know something. St. Jupiter's eyes were cold. Martian Mashing touched his beard. They are all 300 meters above sea level? Are you worried about future sea level rise? Where did he get this information? Wano country, the Kazuki clan should know what happened 800 years ago. Venus Shuru Saint squinted his eyes. His family came from Wano country, so he naturally knew some of the hidden information. Do you need to ask that adult for instructions? Saint Saturn asked with some uncertainty. Several other 5 elders also fell into thinking. After a while, Jupiter Pit Saint was the first to speak. Don't worry, the mother fire of Vegapunk has not been successfully developed yet, and the energy of the national treasure is running low. We must leave enough energy to deal with the prophecy. The day is coming. Is it really possible for that fruit to awaken? That hateful traitor. Saint Maz of Mars became a little angry. There was a hint of chill in Saint Satan's eyes. Can you find out where Shanks took that fruit? According to the latest news from CP, Shanks is still carrying the fruit and should not have eaten it now. Peter Saint took out a photo. It was a photo of Shanks carrying a small treasure box from the cabin when he landed on the Sabaody Islands. What on earth does he want to do? Satan's Sacred Heart couldn't help but get angry. Saint Nashalang shook his head. It doesn't matter. Don't forget, he is not D. Even if he eats this fruit, he will not be able to awaken. If he keeps carrying this fruit, it will reduce the number of D people who can obtain this fruit, possibility. Saint Satan thought of another thing. But the golden lion should have found the surgery fruit. Is there any way to find this surgery fruit capable user? Even if he cannot be captured, he must be killed so that the surgery fruit can be reborn. CP is trying to infiltrate the Sky Empire. Peter gave an uncertain answer. Saint Satan said with a headache. In addition, Marine is also reacting. The current stock of sea stones is not enough. After Wano was controlled by the Golden Lion, the supply channel of sea stones was almost cut off. Let them be patient. The Golden Lion is not Kaido. Especially after this guy's temperament changed drastically, he has become even more unpredictable. Let the CP penetrate and test him first. Nashiro Sage was obviously a little afraid of Shiki's fluttering fruit. Chapter 108, Part 2. When Uranus's energy reserves are insufficient, once Mary Joa is attacked by Shiki, even if the 5 elders can survive, the ordinary celestial dragons in the Holy Land will definitely suffer heavy casualties. Therefore, 5 elders does not plan to openly compete with Sky Empire. This is the deterrent power of Piapiao fruit and Shiki. While Shiki was busy transforming Sky Empire, the red-haired pirates also initially gained a foothold in the New World, temporarily controlling a small island northwest of the Kingdom of Dressrosa. The Don Quixote family, which had been active nearby before, was also in a state of confusion by the red-haired pirates. Brother Ming even had one of his hands chopped off by Shanks. Fortunately, Brother Ming knew medical treatment and had first-rate tailoring skills. Otherwise, it will become the same one-armed one as Shanks. The Don Quixote family suffered a disastrous defeat and had to withdraw from the Kingdom of Dressrosa and fled back to North Blue in despair. Chapter 109, Part 1. May 1st, 1509 in the Haiyuan calendar. Noah secretly returns to the sea from the Paradise Island. Returning to the sea this time, the first stop is the famous Alabasta Kingdom. Alabasta Kingdom, Rapeseed Port. An ordinary commercial transport ship slowly docked. Noah and Crow, as well as Peking and Xiachi, who had just graduated, looked at the busy port. The target is in Rapeseed Port. According to the winery's information, this person has recently fled to the Kingdom of Alabasta. People from Baroque Studio are also in contact with him and seem to be planning to recruit him. Crow reported in a low voice. Where has Crocodile been recently? He's in South Blue and hasn't returned to the Grand Line yet. How many core members are there in the Baroque Studio in Alabasta now? There are currently 3 of them, namely the Thorn Fruit ability user who disguises himself as the proprietress of the Spider Cafe, the Imitation Fruit ability user who performs a lurking mission, and the Mole Fruit ability user who is responsible for peripheral work at Rapeseed Flower Port. Crow continued to add. One of the she-males with the imitation fruit, due to its fruit ability, currently only knows that the other party is active in the capital of the Kingdom of Alabasta, and its specific location has not been found. Go find that guy first. No problem. Based on the information provided by the winery, Crow led Noah and others through twists and turns for more than half an hour and arrived at the entrance of a magnificent casino. When the waiter at the door saw a group of people approaching, he immediately greeted them with a smile. Welcome. What do you want to do? Exchange me for 1,000,000 chips. Noah walked in directly. Crow, who followed closely behind, took out a check and filled in a number. The characteristics of this check were clearly the checks of Blue Ocean Bank run by one of the underground giants, the big loan shark. The waiter immediately took the check and took Crow to exchange the chips. Noah and others have already entered the hall. He immediately saw the target of playing blackjack, a middle-aged man with bloodshot eyes, messy hair, and 2 fingers missing from his left hand. Ha ha ha, blackjack, the middle-aged man shouted excitedly. At the gambling table, a gambler cursed and left after losing all his chips. Noah immediately filled in the position. Do you mind adding me? I don't mind, but... One of the gamblers saw Noah with empty hands and wanted to remind him about the chips. Crow had already walked in from the outside and placed 1,000,000 Bailey chips in front of Noah. Haha, welcome. Brother, you're a bit unfamiliar. The middle-aged man also counted the chips he had just won and said to Noah with a smile, Of course I welcome anyone giving money. Dealer, deal the cards. Noah looked at everyone very calmly. The croupier nodded and immediately began to shuffle and deal the cards. Half an hour later, the chips in front of Noah had reached 13,000,000 Baileys, but everyone else had very few chips left, especially the middle-aged man, who lost all his chips. At this time, the middle-aged man was already red-eyed and stared at Noah. Boy, are you cheating? Maybe I'm lucky. Noah still smiled and calmly looked on his face. The hall supervisor at the casino also appeared next to the gaming table, took a deep look at Noah, and then turned his head. Rule, don't make trouble. You should know who runs this place. The middle-aged man Rule glared at Noah fiercely. Boy, don't let me meet you outside. Then he got up and left the hall and walked outside the casino. Noah also left. Crow picked up those chips and exchanged them for Bailey. After coming out of the casino, Noah's sense of sight had already sensed that the target was following him not far behind him. He pretended not to notice and continued walking towards the suburbs. After a while, Crow followed, until a group of people came to the edge of the Gobi Desert in the suburbs. Roar, who was following in the distance, finally couldn't bear it any longer, jumped in front of everyone, and made a big hole in the ground. Haha boy, you were so arrogant just now. Rule showed his big yellow teeth and stared at Noah ferociously. What a frog in the well. As soon as he finished speaking, Crow appeared behind him. Roar's body stiffened, and an armed domineering energy seeped into his whole body, causing his nervous system to be severely disrupted in an instant. Noah casually threw the seafloor stone handcuffs to restrict his devil fruit ability, and then opened the passage to the castle space. After a while, the recovery of lily fruit was completed. Rule is not even qualified to be transformed into an apostle. The reason is naturally that this guy's physical fitness is too poor, and he is almost 40 years old, so there is no way to unleash the potential of the power fruit. After killing Rule, Noah did not clean up the few shrimps in the Baroque studio because they were of little value. Although the imitation fruit has good value, the capital of Alabasta has a population of 1.3 million. To find a person with the ability to imitate the fruit among them, unless Noah is willing to continue to detect there for several weeks, it will be difficult to find the person at once. Moreover, killing these small shrimps will easily make Crocodile more vigilant. It is better to raise them and then harvest them. After setting sail again from Rapeseed Flower Port, the Prosperity sailed toward the windless zone in the East China Sea. Tarot card divination told Noah that if he sailed towards the East China Sea, he would get what he wanted. The morning of the 3rd day after returning to the sea, Crow knocked on the cabin door. What happened? A small boat sent us a distress signal, but I felt that the other party had evil intentions. A trace of surprise flashed in Noah's eyes. Is it a pirate? It doesn't seem to be the case, but there is a sense of malice in both of them. Crow's vampire fruit has a special sense of malice from other creatures. Go meet them for a while. The two came to the deck. At this time, the distance between the Prosperity and the small boat was less than 300 meters. It turned out to be them. What an unexpected gain. Noah had already seen the appearance of the other party, a tall and strong man, and an old blonde woman wearing a leopard print shawl and sunglasses. Mr. President, do you know them? The old woman is one of the former members of the Rocks Pirates, and the strong man should be the modified person of Whitebeard and her genes. A member of the Rocks Pirates? I'll leave that old woman to you. Just kill her. Leave it to me. Crow's body disappeared on the deck instantly. On the boat, Ba Jin's sense of what she saw, heard, and felt instantly made her hair stand on end. No, my son, please protect me. Boom. Crow's sharp claws have penetrated Ba Jin's heart and throat. Weibel, who had not yet reacted, was pulled into the sea by the seawater tentacles emerging from the surroundings. However, Weibel, who had not eaten the devil fruit, did not lose his strength in the sea. Instead, he struggled crazily and swung out violent and chaotic slashes. On the sea, Ba Jin had been torn into pieces by Crow and was too dead to die. Boom. The furious Weibel rushed out of the sea, but waiting for him, there was still a dense sea of pythons, and Noah had borrowed Caesar's gas fruit to drain the surrounding oxygen. Chapter 109, Part 2. Weibel, who only knew how to use brute force, struggled with the sea python for half an hour, and finally felt that breathing became more and more difficult. Unfortunately, his poor brain capacity did not have much intelligence at all. After another 10 minutes, Weibel finally lost consciousness due to suffocation. Heartless fools are easy to deal with. Release the card at will and seal. Chapter 110, Part 1. Inside the cabin. Are brought Luo from Gluttony Island. Noah family, what do you need me to do? Noah directly released the unconscious Weibel from the card. I need you to transform this person. Luo looked at Weibel. After observing for a while, his expression became more cautious. There is something wrong with this guy. He is a modified person who was created through gene fusion experiments. Check his body to see if there are any problems. He is actually a modified human? Judging from his age, he has been cultivated for at least 20 years. Is he a product of Vegapunk's illegal scientific research team? No, but it has something to do with it, because his maker, Ba Jin, was once a member of the Rocks Pirates and had some interactions with the Vegapunk team. While the two were talking, Luo had already conducted a comprehensive examination of Weibel's body through MRI, CT scan, ultrasound, and other means. After the examination was completed, Luo frowned. His body is very strong, but the problem is also very serious. The main problem is the congenital defects caused by gene fusion, including mental retardation caused by underdevelopment of the brain, failure of the reproductive system, and abnormal secretion of male hormones. The resulting hyperandrogen syndrome and mania, rejection caused by heart transplantation, etc. Can it be solved? Yes. Luo was very confident. Perhaps these problems are difficult for other doctors or scientists, but for those with surgical fruit abilities, they are not too serious. However, Luo knew that the reformer in front of him was Noah's apostle material, so he first cut off Weibel's frontal lobe and then started treatment. First, the transplanted heart is replaced. Immediately afterwards, Weibel's male hormone-secreting cells were reorganized, part of the function of his reproductive system was restored, and the hormone secretion in his body returned to normal. The last step is to modify the brain by injecting IQ Life Potion to promote the secondary development of the brain, but the recovery of the prefrontal lobe will be permanently eliminated. It lasted more than 3 hours before the operation was completed. Moreover, Luo, who pursues perfection, also used the power of the surgical fruit to make major adjustments to Weibel's extremely uncoordinated body and limbs, turning them into a normal human body. After completing the treatment, Noah fed Weibel the power fruit he had obtained before, and then transformed him into an apostle. The fool. Weibel, strength fruit, my lord, Weibel salutes you. Get up. Noah spoke while stimulating the power of the power fruit in his body. After feeling it for a while, he discovered that the effect of this fruit was not a real power fruit, but a power fruit. Because this fruit can only increase the body's strength, the upper limit is to increase the strength by 100 times, rather than controlling various forces. If you want to control various forces, then this fruit will be very scary, because the forces include electromagnetic force, gravity, strong nuclear force, and weak nuclear force. The 4 basic forces of the universe can cover most of them. Physical direction. Obviously, this fruit is not a power fruit, but a power fruit, which is equivalent to the lower fruit of the Momo fruit. Noah was mentally prepared for this. However, a 100-fold increase in strength is actually very powerful. This fruit was really wasted on Rule before, because this guy himself is an ordinary bad gambler, and his power is worse than that of ordinary people. Even if the power is increased by 100 times, it is equivalent to at most 100 ordinary people. Overlay. But this fruit is quite terrifying when it is on Weibel. This guy's physical strength can easily kill the Marine Headquarters Lieutenant General. Later, he can fight with Zifa until Zifa has an asthma attack and chops off one of his arms. Now after Luo's treatment, Weibel's body has become stronger, and he can continue to improve by taking source blood potions in the future. He himself is a quasi-general of the physical arts type, and now with the 100-fold increase in power fruit, his strength has clearly surpassed that of ordinary generals. After Noah borrowed the power of this fruit, he also found that his power had become extremely powerful. In the past, Noah's body, if he did not use the iron fruit or the blue dragon fruit to increase his body, was at most equivalent to an elite lieutenant general in the Marine headquarters. He only entered the general level after using the iron fruit or the blue dragon fruit. But now after he uses the power fruit, his power suddenly soars to a higher level. Especially when he used the blue dragon fruit as the basis and added the power fruit, his power directly broke the boundaries of a general. Now he feels as if he can blow up the Red Earth continent with one fist. Although this is the psychological expansion caused by the sudden increase in power, it is easy to blow up an island similar to the size of a honeycomb island with one fist. Despite gaining such powerful power, Noah did not overdo it. He knew that there were still many uncertainties before his power reached the star-destroying level. Moreover, the other members of the family have not yet fully grown up. He estimates that it will take about 5 or 6 years before the family members reach the peak of their strength. During this period, Noah plans to gather the 22 apostles of the major arcana deck as soon as possible so that the card fruits can enter the awakening state. That's when he and the Noah family formally declare war on the world government. As for Weibel, Noah did not leave him behind. After all, he is sailing now. Even if he encounters the 5 elders, he can leave through the escape route. There is no need for Weibel's super combat power by his side. On the contrary, Shiki's Sky Empire has appeared on the surface and needs more combat power just in case. So Noah asked Ali to send Weibel to Sky Empire as Sky Empire's hidden trump card. With Weibel as a trump card, Sky Empire can repel the opponent even if it encounters a surprise attack by the 5 elders, or even achieve a counterattack. After Noah saw off Weibel and Luo, he did not change his route, but continued to sail to the windless zone on the East China Sea side. He hasn't sailed in the East China Sea for a long time. Planned to sail in the East China Sea for a while. The Prosperity sailed for 5 days and arrived at the edge of the windless zone in the East China Sea. Noah instantly stimulated the strong magnetic field of the rubidium magnet, causing the Prosperity to float slightly in the air, but it was not high from the sea, only less than 5 meters. Prosperity quickly sailed to the East China Sea. During the voyage, Noah did not relax his vigilance. Instead, he used his power of knowledge and electromagnetic fields to keep an eye on the seabed in the windless zone. Various strange-shaped Poseidon species swim and forage on the seabed. There are many large Poseidons with a body size of several thousand meters, as well as ordinary fish with a size of several meters. However, there are also some relatively safe sea areas in the windless zone. For example, this shallow sea area in front of you. The Prosperity stopped because he found that the bottom of this shallow sea was densely covered with the remains of various buildings. Apparently, this is another ancient civilization destroyed by rising sea levels. Chapter 110, Part 2. The water depth of this shallow sea is generally about 50 to 190 meters, and the area reaches about 1,700 square kilometers. Now that he has encountered it, Noah plans to explore the ruins of this ancient civilization. Soon Noah, Crow, and others were ready, and the Prosperity also began to prepare to dive. Chapter 111, Part 1. After the Prosperity turned into submarine mode, it quickly dived to the bottom of the sea. Noah also temporarily borrowed the power of the Piao Piao fruit to clear the mud from the surrounding seafloor. The group did not hesitate, but went straight to the core area of the ruins, that is, the area where gold, silver, and jewelry react the strongest in the electromagnetic field. Usually, this area is the core area of a civilization. Sure enough, after Noah cleared a piece of mud, a sacrificial temple and a large area of castles and palaces appeared in front of everyone. Robin, who came through the wormhole, now transformed into a large number of eyes, observing the patterns, words, and reliefs on these buildings. Soon she discovered information that could confirm the identity of the ruins. This is the ruins of the kingdom of Kibo, once the home of world-famous wood carvings. This statue they believe in is the god of the forest. Robin's clone was in the temple, holding a small submersible with a specially made telephone bug inside. This statue is still made of atom wood, but it is a bit small. It can only be used to build a small sailboat. Although it was a little smaller, Robin did not waste it and directly threw a magic card, storage box, to seal the statues, various reliefs, and stone slabs in the temple. After searching the entire temple, Robin's clone continued to swim towards the kingdom's palace. Due to the corrosion of seawater, the squeezing of silt, and the activities of underwater creatures, many palaces in the royal palace collapsed. You can even see many marine creatures with good intelligence using this place as their nest. Instead of killing them, Noah uses conquerors to temporarily drive them away. Robin's clone looked at the various relics in the ruins of the palace. Suddenly, she discovered that there was a lot of fruit stored in an abandoned refrigerator in a room. Apparently, the abandoned refrigerator was used as a food storage box by the sea beast. This thing? She found an emerald green honeydew melon among a lot of fruits, which was covered with tang grass patterns. It turned out to be a devil fruit, and this fruit looks familiar. Noah inside the cabin, the memory deep in his mind suddenly came to him. Isn't this fruit the same fruit he encountered in the story on the title page of Octopus Xiaoba? It turns out that this is the ruins he passed by. Robin quickly brought the devil fruit back. By looking through the Book of Demons, it was confirmed that this fruit is the fruit of the paramecia tree. Tree fruit? The lower level of Sinsen fruit? Noah guessed. According to the information collected, those with tree fruit abilities in the past generations all had creation type abilities and did not have superhuman performance. Users with the ability of this fruit can produce all kinds of wood, wooden utensils, and wood carvings, and these wood products require the maintenance of the ability user. If you want to create permanent wood products or trees, you must use natural trees or use tree species for growth. Regarding the arrangement of this fruit, Noah did not make an immediate decision. On the one hand, among the core members of the family, no one has eaten the devil fruit yet. Only Pekin, Xiachi, Bibo, Luo's mother and sister are left. This fruit is not suitable for them. On the other hand, the fruit of the tree is not suitable to be transformed into an apostle of the major arcana deck. If transformed into an apostle of the minor arcana deck, it will be overkill. So Noah decided to temporarily store the fruit of the tree. Robin's clone, who was still exploring the ruins, also received instructions from Noah to collect some extinct tree materials during the exploration process. After all, these ancient trees can be imitated or even recultivated through their fruits. Maybe among these ancient trees, there are some tree species with special functions. After all, there are some strange trees in the pirate world. For example, the Atom tree, the mangrove tree in the Sabaody Islands, the Yang tree Eve in the Fishman Island, etc. Just like Robin's flowers and fruits, she can not only use the way organs bloom to develop various organ-derived abilities, she can also use flowers that exist in nature to develop various natural flower abilities. 3 days later, Robin finally completed the preliminary exploration of the ruins of the Kingdom of Kibo. Not only did he collect a large number of ancient wooden artifacts, he also obtained a lot of information about the Kingdom of Kibo. The most valuable thing among them is a dozen rock paintings. Because the relief paintings on these rock walls introduce the neighboring countries and uninhabited islands around the Kingdom of Kibo. By comparing the charts of the East China Seacom zone within the Noah family, it can be discovered that there are 16 kingdom islands and 73 uninhabited islands involved in the petroglyph map of the Kingdom of Kibo. At this time, 13 islands where the kingdoms are located have completely sunk into the seabed. Of the remaining 3 kingdom islands, 2 have become virgin forests, and 1 still has a small number of tribes. Noah was not surprised by this result. After all, the moment the windless zone is formed, it means that these islands have become real isolated islands. In addition, rising sea levels have submerged most of the plains, and the remaining population can only survive on isolated islands. In the past few years, as the world government has gradually entered the windless zone using the sea breath simulation technology developed by Vegapunk, some of the remaining indigenous people have been exterminated. The only remaining aboriginal island in the nearby waters is actually relatively lucky, because they happened to encounter the Noah family's secret mapping of the windless zone a few years ago, and therefore were included in the rule of the Kingdom of Dawn. Now all the immigrants have arrived in the Governor-General of Paradise Sky Island. As for the aboriginal islands of the Windless Belt that were secretly exterminated by the world government, the number investigated by the Noah family was no less than 50. This is still the case in the past few years, when the Noah family secretly relocated some aboriginal islands, otherwise there would be more. A large number of people in world government and marine can indeed bear adjectives such as being full of evil and too numerous to describe. After obtaining these ancient map information, Noah selected 2 of the more valuable kingdoms to explore along the way. These 2 ancient kingdoms were the Kingdom of Euclid and the Kingdom of Gauss. According to the fragments Robin obtained from O'Hara's library, the Kingdom of Euclid is a country famous for its alchemy, while the Kingdom of Gauss is famous for its automatons. Obviously, both countries have their own unique technologies. Although the complete technology may not be preserved in the ruins, it can at least be used as a reference. After all, the Noah family still possesses many technologies left over from the lunar civilization. When the lunar people returned to Blue Star, they also had technological exchanges with intelligent races from all over Blue Star. Whether this exchange was active or passive, at least some of the lunar technology and Blue Star's native technology have merged. Chapter 111, Part 2. The Kingdom of Euclid and the Kingdom of Gauss, as relatively technologically advanced forces among the local civilization of Blue Star at that time, must have known about the Kingdom of Gods of the Moon People and the huge Kingdom of Joy Boy. Therefore, Noah believed that the ruins of these two kingdoms were of great exploration value. 2 days later, the Prosperity arrived at the undersea ruins of the Kingdom of Gauss, the land of dolls. However, Noah, who was standing on the deck, had a look of surprise on his face, because he discovered that there were a large number of moving dolls in the ruins of the Kingdom of Gauss on the seabed, and these dolls were still running. Chapter 112, Part 1. The seabed is more than 80 meters above the sea. Although the ruins of the Kingdom of Gauss are already covered with coral reefs, seashells, and seaweed, many dolls are still active in the ground below. Robin's clone entered one of the buildings. This is a stone processing site. A dozen dolls are carving a huge stone, and there are several rock tracks on one side. Several of the dolls noticed Robin's arrival and immediately stopped working. The dolls look roughly similar to humans, but they seem to have undergone some special modifications to adapt to the underwater environment. For example, there are multiple legs and fins, as well as pressurized water jets on the back. One of the dolls, with a red number on its head, floated towards Robin. It looked at Robin for a while, then picked up a thin slate and wrote a text on it using a special coral as a pin. Robin looked at it for a while before translating the meaning. "Are you a human from outside?" Robin picked up the coral pin and wrote something on the side. "Yes, why are you still active? Has the Kingdom of Gauss not perished yet? Dear guest, please come with me. I will take you to see Mr. Hart." Robin didn't raise any objections. After all, her body was a clone and she didn't need to worry about the other party causing trouble. The puppet leads the way. After swimming for about half an hour, Robin estimated that he had gone several hundred meters underground in the complicated underground passages. Finally, after passing a gate, Robin came to a room, and then the door slowly closed, and then the surrounding seawater gradually subsided. When the water level dropped to the ankle level, a passage opened in the steel wall in front. Xi beta mu beta lambda. A strange sound sounded in the passage. Robin listened for a while, and then figured out that it was the other party who let him in. After passing through the passage, they came to a hall. An old figure appeared in front of Robin. The old man weakly introduced himself. "Welcome, guest from the outside world. I am Hart, a scientist from the Gauss Kingdom." Robin also replied in Gaussian. "Mr. Hart, I am archaeologist Nicole Robin, from the Kingdom of the Dawn. Can you answer some of my questions?" "Miss Robin, I know what you're going to ask. The Kingdom of Gauss has been destroyed. To be precise, most of the Gaussians perished in the tsunami 800 years ago," Hart continued. "It was because I was doing research inside this scientific research base that I escaped and became one of the few survivors." "There are other survivors?" Robin was a little surprised. Hart nodded. "Yes, my colleagues and I, plus the personnel who were in the base at the time. A total of 736 people survived. But as time goes by, we have to face food and energy problems." Following Hart's eloquent talk, Robin finally understood the whole story. Although Hart and other more than 700 survivors of the Gauss Kingdom survived, they still faced a huge survival crisis. Some of them tried to leave, but while sailing the ship out to sea, they were attacked by Poseidons, and this group of people was completely wiped out. The remaining people are studying how to survive on the seabed. The leader of this group of people is Dr. Hart in front of them. After technological transformation, they successively created ocean current generators, underwater dolls, and the most important artificial sleep technology. After trying to leave many times and being attacked by Poseidons, Hart and others had given up on this idea and switched to the plan of continuing the fire of civilization. When food and energy are limited, if the remaining people continue to get married and have children, the consequences will be rapid consumption of resources, and then they will fall into cannibalism. In order to avoid such a tragedy, Hart and others formed an organization called the Civilization Continuation Committee to seal most people deep in the scientific research base through cryonics technology, and only 5 people can pass through at a time. The electronic system controls the puppets outside to take turns. But this rotation doesn't come without a price. Because cryonics technology can extend life to the maximum extent, only when it is completely frozen. If the person is conscious, the effect of extending life will be greatly reduced. This is also the reason why Heart appears in front of Robin in an old man state. After 800 years of multiple rotations, the 36 members of the Civilization Continuation Committee are all similar to Heart, and their bodies are approaching the limit. At the end of the sentence, Heart asked Robin, "Miss Robin, if you can, I would like to ask you to take away the 432 survivors in the cryopreservation and take them out of this prison. As a reward, I can give you the Kingdom of Gauss. All treasures and technology are given to you." Noah on the sea also knew about this. He didn't have any objections to accepting these survivors of ancient civilization. Even if the other party had any conspiracies and tricks, Mary would be able to hide them due to her knowledge. 3 days later, Mary reviewed all the survivors of the Kingdom of Gauss, and Robin also received all the books in the Kingdom of Gauss. Noah also obtained various technologies he wanted, especially puppet technology. This puppet technology is actually the local version of Blue Star's small robot from the Moon Man. However, there are 2 differences between the puppet technology of Gauss Kingdom and the robot technology of Lunar Man. First, dolls have a digestive system similar to that of living things and can obtain energy by eating organic matter. Secondly, the dolls have higher intelligence and can even simulate human emotions and can also read some human expressions. The dolls made with this technology can even execute complex instructions and perform tasks that are difficult for ordinary robots to perform. After figuring out the true thoughts of Heart and others, Noah decided to accept them as members of the Kingdom of the Dawn. He used the power of the Piao Piao fruit to directly fish up the Gauss Island from the seabed. The island of Goth was placed by Noah in the governorate of Paradise Sky. Heart and other 36 members of the Civilization Continuation Committee also received treatment from Luo. After all, most of these people were scientists and had therapeutic value. Although the bodies of Heart and others have been in a state of exhaustion after repeated thawing and freezing, their cells are only about 50 or 60 years old. This gave Luo the opportunity to treat them and replenish their vitality through the life potion. Together with Luo's surgery fruit and Andy's disease fruit, Heart and others were quickly brought back from the edge of death, allowing them to continue to work for them. The land of dawn shines brightly for 100 years. Finished dealing with the ruins and survivors of the Kingdom of Gauss, Noah and his party went to the ruins of the Euclid Kingdom again. However, there is not much gain from this ruins, because the Kingdom of Euclid is a small archipelago country. After these islands were submerged by the sea, they became the nests of many medium-sized Poseidon species and were dug full of holes. Faced with this situation, Noah and his party could only give up the idea of continuing to explore the secrets. Robin returned to the revolving Heaven-Sky Empire to continue working, while the Prosperity headed towards the East China Sea at full speed. Chapter 112, Part 2. After about 5 days, the Prosperity finally left the windless zone and entered the southern waters of the East China Sea. The Prosperity sailed towards the nearest kingdom of Oirak. Chapter 113, Part 1. Passing by the kingdom of Oirak, the journey was very peaceful. Soon the Prosperity arrived at the mackerel port in the kingdom of Rum. Noah went to the family's secret training camp near the mackerel port and visited the boys and girls who were selected this year. These are excellent seeds collected by the Noah family from all over the world through the winery. For example, the siblings Runty and Peggy Wan who were captured before, Mariano who was born in the Grand Line Paradise, later Golden Week in Baroque Studio, and Machida, a young girl who wanders in West Blue, later Baroque Studio, Valentine's Day, Karina, an orphan from the East China Sea Clock Kingdom, a little fox who later cooperated with Nami to steal. Last year's class included the talented mechanical boy Lanchette brought back from Turtle Island, the 5 children of the Dawn family, the musical girl Cornish from Sky Island, and the half-Murloc from New World Dressrosa Kingdom. Orphan Dellinger, later a member of Don Quixote's family. The winery has been sending seeds of potential to training camps over the years. Although Noah did not expect them all to be able to do their own thing, the training camp must at least reach the level of colonel at Marine headquarters in order to reach the qualifying line for graduation. After encouraging the new training camp students, Noah secretly went to Rum City and met Uncle Joseph. At this time, the Rum Kingdom did not change much on the surface, but secretly it had become one of the few powerful countries in the East China Sea. The Kingdom of Rum has a population of only 230,000, except for the 8,000 standing king's army on the surface. There is also a secret army of 2,000 people. The members of the secret army have popularized the 6 styles and hockey. By taking a large amount of source blood potions, these people have become very powerful. There are dozens of outstanding ones who can compete with the Major General of Marine Headquarters. In addition, There is also a 300-man air cavalry unit and a dozen flying arcs hidden on the Black Rock Sky Island near the Rum Kingdom. In addition, Lillian is stationed on Black Rock Island. With her current strength, if a general or below encounters Lillian, there is basically no way out but death. Barton, the commander of the army on the surface of the Kingdom of Rum, is also very powerful. After all, he is Noah's apostle and has a huge vitality reserve. In addition to not possessing Conqueror's domineering power, his own strength is also at the level of a quasi-general. Existence. If Noah lends part of his power to Patton, he can even fight against the general. This is another reason why Noah assigned apostles to each governorate and core departments. His apostles can borrow Noah's power to greatly improve their strength and help deal with emergencies. With Barton in the Kingdom of Rum, Noah was more assured of Uncle Joseph's safety. I rested in Rum Kingdom for more than half a month. The Prosperity set sail again. The sea surface in the East China Sea is very calm. Not only is the weather stable, but there are also very few pirates. After all, Garp took time off every 3 days to go home to visit relatives, and the Noah family secretly hunted pirates with devil fruit abilities. As a result, the number and quality of pirates in the East China Sea were at the bottom of the world. It was noon on the 7th day, after leaving Rum Kingdom. A pirate ship appeared on the sea not far away. Creek pirates. Noah glanced at the other party's pirate flag and knew that this was a newcomer pirate who became famous in the East China Sea last year. He had no interest in this kind of little shrimp. Crow also had no idea of taking action. After a while, the two ships approached more than 300 meters, and the saber of the Creek pirates immediately opened fire. Boom, boom, boom. Peijin drew his sword and swung it, and dozens of slashes instantly cut and exploded the cannonballs. Xia Qi stepped on the moonwalk and appeared on the deck of the saber in a moment. On the deck of the saber, Creek panicked and brandished a giant gun at Xia Qi. Shoot lousy. A group of pirate minions opened fire in confusion. Balu, Ajin and others also held weapons and prepared for a sneak attack. Xia Qi casually caught Creek's giant gun and squeezed it gently. Click. The giant gun immediately shattered. How is that possible? Bang, bang, bang. The lead bullets were like hitting a steel plate, splashing sparks. Gulu. Balu's throat was dry, and his pupils shrank. I don't believe you can block the shells. Creek roared hysterically, and at the same time opened the miniature cannon hidden in the chest armor. Poof. Xia Qi's figure appeared behind Creek, holding a still-beating heart in his hand. Creek woke up as if from a dream, and suddenly there was a spasm and severe pain in his chest. Ahem. How could I fall here? Captain. Boss Creek. Ajin's eyes widened in anger, and he raised his iron cane and hit Xia Qi. Xia Qi's fingers turned black, and his figure flashed past. In an instant, blood holes appeared on the foreheads of dozens of pirates on the deck, including Ajin and Balu. If you choose to be a pirate, you must have the consciousness to bury yourself in the sea. Xia Qi walked into the cabin, took away the treasure inside, and finally used magic card, napalm, to completely burn the saber and the body. Noah lay on the beach chair on the deck the whole time and had no idea of regaining Creek and Akin. The Prosperity continued along its previously planned route. 2 weeks later, the group came to Koko West Village on the island of Kauai. As the Prosperity docked, villagers from Kokoyasi Village also rushed over. After all, every time a merchant ship docks, it is a very important trade opportunity for small island villages like Kokoyasi Village. The Prosperity carried a variety of daily necessities and purchased oranges from villagers. Noah picked up a very sour orange and peeled it off. This kind of orange was specially prepared for sailors on long voyages to prevent and treat scurvy. Around the simple pier, there were several limes pushed over by the villagers, including a red-haired woman holding a lady's cigarette. There were 2 7- or 8-year-old girls beside her, one with orange hair and one with blue hair. Crow was discussing the purchase price with the villagers. The little orange cat had already greased the soles of its feet and came to the temporary merchandise shelves of the merchant ship, staring at the skirts and books on the shelves with bright eyes. After a while, the red-haired woman sold out the sour oranges and saw Nami on the deck, so she hurried over. Nami, don't run around. Got it. Belmir. Nami was a little scared, and then asked in a low voice, Belmir, can we buy some books? Belmir was calculating the money from selling oranges today, and seeing Nami's eager little eyes, he decided to buy her a book, just one. But do you really don't need a little skirt? Small skirt. Although Nami was eager, she still chose the book. Small skirt next time. I can wear no Kigo's old clothes. Don't regret it, just pick one. Bellmeyer took the vaccine first to prevent Nami from causing trouble in the future. Noah has been looking at the sea not far away and has no idea of communicating with the other party. Many times, step by step is also a strategy. Chapter 113, Part 2. Asking the other party to join in from the very beginning will not only appear abrupt, but will also make people feel that there is some evil intention. I came here this time just to become familiar with him and facilitate future contacts. The Prosperity stayed in Cocoa West Village for one night and set sail early the next morning, disappearing among the waves of the vast sea. 5 days later, they came to Rog Town, the island where Noah's family started. Noah had not been here for several years. Chapter 114, Part 1. Noah and his party secretly sailed in the East China Sea. Before we knew it, time had come to the end of the year 1509 in the Haiyuan calendar. At this time, after more than half a year of testing, the red-haired pirates finally planned to attack the position of Emperor of the Sea in the New World. In fact, in August this year, Shanks took the red-haired pirates to the sphere of influence of the Whitebeard pirates and played a friendly match with Whitebeard in the name of a visit. Whitebeard obviously saw Shanks' intentions, but he did not expose the other party. Instead, he said that Shanks was very capable and worthy of being an intern of the Roger Pirates. This sentence was published in the World Economic Times by Morgans, and the news media under the world government also contributed to the situation behind the scenes, trying to push Shanks to the position of New World Sea Emperor. After all, the remaining territory of New World is no longer enough to support the emergence of the Fourth Sea Emperor. If you don't have enough territory, even if you have monstrous combat power, you still won't be qualified to be called the Sea Emperor of the New World. Territory and strength are both indispensable. As long as Shanks joins the fight for hegemony, he can only go to war against the Whitebeard Pirates, Big Mom Pirates, and Sky Empire, and seize some territory from these three forces. The current sphere of influence of the Whitebeard Pirates is in the waters near the entrance of New World. The nations of the Big Mom Pirates are located in the southeast of the Central Sea, and the Sky Empire is in the center and northwest of the Central Sea. Judging from the area of the sea area it controls, the Sky Empire has the largest area, and in the past 6 months, it has expanded its sphere of influence to occupy about 23% of the New World by exchanging territory with all nations and bringing some of the surrounding semi-independent kingdoms into its control. In other words, Shanks' red-haired pirate group is now facing a very difficult problem. That is, they must go to war with the Sky Empire in order to gain enough territory to dominate. After all, Shanks can't steal the Whitebeard Pirates' territory. After the land exchange, the Big Mom Pirates of all nations not only changed some of their previous strategies, completely abandoning some of the fringe islands, and concentrated all the population in the core area of all nations, but also included the 2 veteran New World pirate groups under his command. Obviously, Charlotte Linlin is very wary of Shiki and the Sky Empire, worried that the nations are too spread out and can easily be attacked and defeated individually. After all, Sky Empire's mobility is terrifying. This has led to the red-haired pirates to face a crazy counterattack from the Big Mom Pirates if they want to seize the territory of all nations now. But as the chief think tank of the red-haired pirates, Beckman looked at the information in his hand with a very worried look on his face. The Sky Empire was also not easy to mess with. No, the Sky Empire is the most terrifying among the 3 emperors. Because the territory of the Sky Empire is divided into 5 provinces, and each province is stationed by a legion. In addition, it has a highly maneuverable air fleet, making it almost impossible to defeat them all. Unless another Sea Emperor is willing to step in to contain Shiki, the red-haired pirates have almost no chance of winning. Beckman knew very well that with Whitebeard's pride, he would not help Shanks contain Shiki. The grievances between the Big Mom Pirates and the Roger Pirates made it almost impossible for the other party to help, and might instead add insult to injury. Now Beckman has a headache. Although Shanks has decided to challenge Shiki and Sky Empire, he has to consider the worst-case scenario. After all, except for a few flying 6 members of the Beast Pirates who were absorbed by the Sky Empire, Kaido, Jin, Quinn, and others disappeared without a trace. The outside world generally believed that Kaido had been killed by Shiki. Even the world government ordered the CP organization to search for the reborn blue dragon fruit because they thought Kaido was dead. Shiki had even killed Kaido and Achiku, who were on the same boat before. Beckman didn't think that the other party would show mercy to the interns of the Roger Pirates. But Beckman racked his brains and failed to find suitable helpers and methods to ensure that the red-haired pirates could escape intact. Looking at the high-spirited Shanks on the bow of the boat, Beckman asked again worriedly, "Shanks, do you really want to challenge the Golden Lion?" "Beckman, don't worry, we are very strong." Although Shanks knew that Shiki was very powerful, he believed that even if he and the crew could not defeat the Golden Lion and the Sky Empire, he could escape with the crew intact. Beckman, don't worry. My sniper rifle is already thirsty. Jesus laughed loudly. The other members of the red-haired pirate group also shouted, and the atmosphere became much more relaxed for a while. But this still did not dispel the dark clouds in Beckman's heart. As the red-haired pirate group's large sailing vessel Red Force passed through the Whitebeard pirate group's sphere of influence, it finally began to enter the central waters of the New World. Intelligence personnel from all parties also discovered the actions of the red-haired pirates and increased their attention, especially when they saw the red-haired pirates sailing to the northwest of the central waters of New World. All forces guessed that the red-haired pirate's target was the Sky Overlord. Sabaody Islands. Shaki's ripoff bar. Did he still make this choice? Rayleigh frowned. Shaki took a puff of cigarette. Huh. You are not thinking about New World, are you? Haha. Rayleigh smiled dryly and shook his head. How is that possible? I'm just a little worried about Shanks. After all, the Golden Lion is too strong. There is no need for him to be so anxious. According to his current sailing direction, he will soon encounter the Sky Empire's Blazing Sun Legion. The commander of the Blazing Sun Legion is Lai Yong, and the deputy commander is Shanks' old acquaintance, the Fozzie Ford who rebelled from the CP organization. Shaki continued. Considering the security of various places in the Sky Empire, it is estimated that Shiki will take action personally. According to my intelligence, the 3 general managers of the Sky Empire headquarters are very powerful. The Hermit is a person with the Corrosion Fruit ability. He knows 3 colors of domineering, and his spear and physical skills are also very powerful. Black Maria is one of the 6 flying members of the original Beast Pirates. She is an ability user in the form of an ancient wolf spider of the animal system. She has good 2-color domineering and physical skills. As for the most mysterious garden, no one has seen her take action so far. Even her gender is a guess. Since this person can become one of the 3 general managers of the Sky Empire, it is obvious that his strength will not be too weak. The more he listened, the more uneasy Rayleigh felt. At this time, Marine's headquarters is Marine Fando. Kong, who had not yet resigned as Marine Fleet Admiral, looked at the information in his hand with a look of solemnity and thought on his face. Chapter 114, Part 2. Although Marine was behind it, hoping that the red-haired pirates could clash with other New World forces, he didn't expect that the red-haired Shanks would be so impatient. He also had a look of surprise and uncertainty on his face at this time. Based on her assessment of the red-haired pirates, although they were basically qualified to compete for New World, it was obviously not a wise move to go straight to the Sky Empire. Fleet Admiral, do we need to take measures? The red-haired pirates can be defeated, but they cannot be annihilated. Otherwise, no one will be able to shake the rule of the Sky Empire in the New World in a short period of time. Kong nodded. Sengoku also had the same idea. He thought that he should take the opportunity to contain some of the Sky Empire's high-end combat capabilities, and not let the Golden Lion attack the red-haired pirates with all its strength. If we want to contain Shiki, we can only use Porcelino or Kazan. Both of them are more suitable candidates to contain Shiki. Kong pondered for a moment. Let Porcelino take action. After this incident is over, let him station in G1 for a period of time to prevent the Golden Lion from going crazy and retaliating. I understand. Crane nodded. Marine moved in secret. At the same time, the world government also made some moves. Although the 5 elders believed that Shanks was a traitor, they still considered the overall situation and decided to use their power to add some strength to Shanks and the red-haired pirates. The purpose of doing this is to further test the Sky Empire and make the red-haired pirates a pawn to contain the Sky Empire. Chapter 115, Part 1. Sky Empire. Sky Island in the Sky Province. Through the Umbu agent of the Sky Empire and the Winery intelligence agent of the Noah family, Robin has received the movements of the red-haired pirates. The above is the trend of the red-haired pirates. Shiki, depending on the situation, the red-haired pirates want to challenge you. Huh. Shiki smoked a cigar and wiped Ingju and Muku with an inexplicable smile on his face. The brat of the Roger pirates, a self-righteous guy, really think that I don't dare to kill him? Marine and the world government seem to be making moves. Porcelino appeared at the G1 base of New World. Mihawk, one of the Shichibukai, also appeared in the Kingdom of Dressrosa yesterday and is currently rushing towards the Empire. Haha. The 5 elders also want to play balance? Where are the red-haired pirates currently? Near the Galusi area, and then passing through the Kashasi area, You will reach the border of the Empire's Rapids province. It will take about a week. Shiki narrowed his eyes slightly and exhaled a puff of smoke. Huh. How much high-level combat power can the Empire draw? The deputy commanders of each legion can be transferred here, but Porcelino's side is more troublesome. Haha, Robin. Sometimes the chess pieces outside the chessboard can also move the world. Shiki picked up a dart and threw it. The dart stabbed firmly into the world map. The location where it was struck was the Kingdom of Lucia in the Grand Route Paradise. Robin immediately understood what Shiki meant. In this case, Porcelino does not need to be taken into consideration. We only need to be careful of Mihawk and some CP agents. Mihawk and CP agents are left to you. Just contain each other. Of course, it doesn't matter if you have the chance to kill them directly, as you wish. Robin didn't find this task difficult. CP agents will be restrained by Robin's ability when facing Robin. Mihawk and Robin are not fighting alone, because Noah has decided to send some experts to support the Sky Empire, and Robin can choose some of them. As for the red-haired pirates, naturally leave it to Shiki, Lai Yong, Hermit, Black Maria, Faz Fu, Shermu, Mantis, Brian and others. Except for Mantis, everyone else is Noah's apostle. Just in case, Noah temporarily dispatched the reformed Quangshalang, renamed Judgment, and Champagne, the leader of the New World branch of the winery, to the Sky Empire. Obviously, Noah does not intend to have a fair duel. If he can fight in a group, he will fight the opponent as much as possible. After all, judging from the motivations of the red-haired pirates this time, on the one hand, Marine and the World Conquest government are adding fuel to the fire. On the other hand, the red-haired Shanks really have the idea of conquering the New World. Moreover, Noah estimated that the red-haired Shanks also wanted to explore the current situation of Wano country. After all, as a member of the Roger Pirates, he knew very well that the Kazuki clan could read the historical text and was the master of Zo, which was related to one of the red pieces. Road sign historical text. If the Son of Prophecy cannot collect 4 road signs and does not have a partner who understands the historical text, it means that he cannot reach Ravdru. This leaves red-haired Shanks to take risks. The Noah family has already completed its primitive accumulation and is no longer in the same stage as before. This time he will no longer avoid fighting. The undercurrent of the New World is surging, and all forces are focusing on the rapid waters. Morgans was the first one to enter the scene, and even directly applied to Sky Empire to get closer to the live broadcast. Shiki did not refuse the opponent. After all, this Birdman still had some use value. Even if he refused, he would approach secretly. In addition, intelligence personnel from Marine, World Government, Revolutionary Army, Whitebeard Pirates, Big Mom Pirates, and other underground giants are all trying to find ways to enter the rapid waters. The Grand Line, Paradise. The Kingdom of Lucia. This island country was the country that was later destroyed by Uranus. In the sea 136 kilometers southwest of the Kingdom of Lucia is Marine's G2 fortress. This fortress was transformed from the entire island, and its surface is covered with thick rock formations. The garrison will be Gumir, dual swordsman, Grandmaster 6 styles, and dual color hockey. Noah has secretly entered the Kingdom of Lucia with Vic, Lillian, Lilith, and others from Rogtown. The Lucia Kingdom, Cowport. Another country full of decadence. Noah drank a cup of milk tea and looked at the nobles and kingdom officials who were dominating on the street. I walked out of the toilet and whispered, "Brother, all plans are ready to be completed, then let's begin." Noah drank the milk tea in one gulp, and Conqueror's domineering power swept out in an instant. The entire Cowport was stunned instantly. Vic put his hands on the ground. Quicksand passage. In an instant, the ground in the cow harbor surged, and quicksand swallowed everyone in the cow's underground. Ariai's sword pointed at the center of his eyebrows. Wormhole transfer. The person who was sucked into the underground cave was instantly sucked into a desert island that had been prepared by the wormhole. The desert island was in the Storm Islands of South Blue. On the deserted island, Mary, Enel, and others who were in charge of receiving them quickly screened the criminals among them while placing them. 10 minutes later, more than 8,000 people in the entire Derry harbor disappeared without a trace. Let's go to the next town. Yes, brother. In less than 3 hours, the Kingdom of Lucia was completely evacuated, leaving only an empty island. In the palace of the Kingdom of Lucia, Noah sat on the throne, and Lilith poured him a glass of milk, a specialty of the Kingdom of Lucia. Vic was gnawing on a sea beast that weighed several hundred kilograms. Crow looked through the list of treasures in the Lucia Kingdom. Lillian used the flame to grill the steak of a herbivorous dinosaur. Joshua was closing his eyes and concentrating, and his vision had already covered a 2,000 kilometers radius. The battlefield is ready. Next, let's see how Marine and World Government respond. Inside the Marine G2 base at this time. Base Chief's Office. Report, Lieutenant General Gummel, there is an emergency in the Kingdom of Lelusia. A merchant ship just docked at the cowport and found that the port was empty and that there was a large amount of sand on the site. Sand? Crocodile? The bald Gummir frowned. Is there any other information? The merchant ship has escaped from cowport. There is no other information for the time being. Gummir then picked up the phone and dialed the number of the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Kingdom of Lelusia, but after calling for more than 10 minutes, there was still no response. This situation made Gummel feel nervous all of a sudden, and he continued to call several nobles he knew in the Lelusia Kingdom. Unfortunately, the result is still the same. No response. Trouble. Cold sweat broke out on Gummel's forehead. He immediately dialed the phone number of the headquarters and ordered the people around him. Prepare the warship immediately. I want to go to the Kingdom of Lucia in person. Yes. Brew. This is the communications room of the headquarters. Please inform me of your name and number. Chapter 115, Part 2. I am Gummir, the person in charge of the G2 base, number 029-3672. Confirmation completed. Lieutenant General, please explain the matter. I want to speak to Fleet Admiral. The Kingdom of Lelusia has completely lost contact. Hold on. After a few minutes. Hey, I'm Kong, Gummir. Did you say that the Kingdom of Lelusia has lost contact? Gummir kept his story short and quickly reported the brief situation of the matter to Sora. After hearing this, Kong was also shocked. Chapter 116, Part 1. After Gummir reported the relevant situation to Kong, he hurriedly led 3 warships to attack the dairy port of the Kingdom of Lucia. In the palace of the Kingdom of Lucia, Joshua opened his eyes. Marine has discovered anomalies, and Gummir from G2 is bringing people over to investigate. Noah put down his knife and wiped the sauce from the corner of his mouth. It's not drastic enough. We need to put a little more pressure on the world government. From today on, the world will no longer be theirs. Do you want to declare war? Crow's eyes flashed. Well, it's time for me to talk to that old friend. Noah took out the card, opened the phone room where the phone bug was sealed, and picked out a phone bug that had been sealed for a long time. He did not use the anti-eavesdropping phone bug cultivated by the Ministry of Science and Technology, but made a direct call. After a while, the phone was answered. Moshi, are you? Long time no see, Mr. Morgans. Hearing this voice, Morgans on the other side of the phone finally remembered something. Are you Mr. Dawn? Haha, it seems Mr. Morgans has not forgotten. How could I forget that Mr. Ming Ming sold me several big news stories back then? I wonder what big news Mr. Ming Ming needs to sell this time? Morgan seemed to have smelled the big news. A free piece of news. I wonder if Mr. Morgans dares to publish it? Oh, tell me. I am the leader of the Hidden Ones organization wanted by the world government. Please allow me to introduce myself. I am Dawn Noah, the head of the Kingdom of Dawn and the founder of the Liberator organization. Quack, that's it. Morgan's adrenaline was surging. The Kingdom of Lelusia has been liberated by me. From today on, I, Dawn Noah, will lead the Kingdom of Dawn to declare war on the world government and its affiliated countries. The aloof celestial dragons, the corrupt and cruel kings and nobles, the unscrupulous businessmen who break the bones and suck the marrow, insensitive marine, greedy and evil pirates. I will completely eradicate your lives. This world is already dirty. Let me restart the whole world. If you feel that you are weak and dare not be a liberator, you can choose to escape and hide. But if you join one of the parties, then please accept the death I give bar. As soon as he finished speaking, Morgans on the other side of the phone was stunned. After waiting for more than 10 seconds, he cleared his throat and asked, Mr. Li Ming, are you sure you want to publish this content? Is Mr. Morgan scared? Quack. Since Mr. Li Ming is not afraid of death, of course I will risk my life to accompany you. Tomorrow, the newspaper will be released simultaneously around the world, and it will be a free newspaper. This is the big news I met Morgans. I left you some secret live video call bugs in the Kingdom of Lucia. The number is... Okay. You are indeed Mr. Liming. Although I don't think you can defeat the world government, I sincerely wish you good luck in martial arts. Live as long as you can. There is no shame in escaping, and you will witness the coming of a new era. With your good words, I will try my best to survive. Morgans obviously knows that after tomorrow, he will probably face the full pursuit of the world government. At the same time, the cowport of the Kingdom of Lucia. 3 warships from the G2 base have docked. Gomir looked at the empty city with a very solemn and uneasy face. Welcome to everyone from Marine. Looking at the man with glasses walking out of the shadow of the lighthouse, Gomir narrowed his eyes slightly. Are you the man with cat claw glasses from the Hidden One organization? Let me introduce myself. My name is Crow, just an ordinary butler. Bang, bang, bang. Sparks are flying in the air. The 2 swords entwined with armed domineering collided fiercely with Espada more than a dozen times. The 2 of them returned to where they started. Were the people of Lelucia Kingdom taken away by you? Although I don't want to answer dead people's questions, but I'm worried about the random thoughts of the Marine headquarters behind you, so I'd better let you know clearly. The Kingdom of Lelucia has been liberated by our Kingdom of Dawn. From now on, they will cooperate with the world government. There is no affiliation anymore. Arrogant. I am. Night. Seducing the soul. In an instant, the 3 warships were shrouded in darkness. Gomir felt a biting chill when he saw it, and he quickly waved out a dense, slashing wave. Poof. Poof. What? Gomel's eyes widened, looking at the sharp blade that penetrated his chest. He did not expect that the other party would use this kind of fighting method of dying together. At this time, his double knives also penetrated Crow's abdomen. However, he soon felt something was wrong, because the other party's bright red pupils were exuding a strange smile, and a coldness spread all over his body. You are actually a vampire. It was too late. He knew it was too late. One after another, Gomir's blood was sucked away by Crow and turned directly into a mummy. But Crow was intact, and his wounds were repaired by vitality. Lieutenant General Gomir, hurry up and turn on the searchlights. Under the night, the dark warship was in chaos. The corners of Crow's mouth rose. Bloodbat disaster. His body immediately spread out and turned into countless vampire bats. What? Bang, bang, bang. Ah, idiot. Don't shoot randomly. There are enemies attacking us. 10 minutes later, the 3 warships were covered with mummies, leaving only a few signal soldiers who were going crazy. They trembled and looked at Crow. Report the situation here to the Marine headquarters truthfully. I don't think you will refuse, right? Several signal soldiers were sweating like rain. Their faces were pale with fright, and they could only nod their heads like chickens pecking at rice. As the communication with Malinfando was connected, the communication soldier stumbled and reported the situation, and was crushed to death by Crow's claw. At this time, the atmosphere in Marine's headquarters, Marinafando, which was less than 1,300 kilometers away from the Kingdom of Lucia, solidified instantly. Boom. Veins popped up on Sora's forehead, and he smashed the desk with his fist. Rampant. Damn it. Inexcusable. He and Zifa, who walked in from the door, saw such an angry Sora Fleet Admiral for the first time. What happened? He asked quickly. The person in charge of the communications room on the side quickly explained the cause and effect of the incident to the 2 of them. What? Gomir was killed in battle? 3 warships were also massacred? Zifa's eyes were filled with anger. That Hidden One organization? Why is it at this time? He frowned. She had just arranged the new world with warring states, but she did not expect that the situation in the park would take a turn for the worse. Kong clenched his fists. Crane, let Porcelino go out. This time we must hold back the people of the Hidden Ones. Zifa, Jiaji, Flying Squirrel, and Ghost Spider and I will lead the Buster Call fleet to attack. You and the garden stays with Malinfando. Fleet Admiral, do you want to transfer Garp and Kazan there as well? Kong shook his head. No, Kazan must stay in the Sabaody Islands. Tiger's attack on Mary Joa cannot happen again. It's too late for Garp. He should be in Rogtown now. Chapter 116, Part 2. Even if he travels at full speed, it will take him half a month to reach the Kingdom of Lelucia. Damn it, it happens to be at this time. He was very helpless. Soon Kong took Zifa, Kaji, Flying Squirrel, Ghost Spider, plus 10 Buster Call warships and headed straight for the Kingdom of Lucia. Porcelino, who was on standby at the New World G1 base, also put away his careless expression after receiving the call from Crane, and then turned into a ray of light and disappeared into the horizon. You can read more daily new novels on fictionzone.net. Both sites share the same login details, so you don't need to sign up again. Chapter 117, Part 1. More than 2 hours later, a golden light flashed over the Kingdom of Lelucia, and then a series of refraction movements appeared on the warship in Cow Harbor. Looking at the Marine soldier and Lieutenant General Gomir who had turned into mummies, Although Porcelino's face was expressionless, his clenched fists showed that he was not at peace in his heart. Suddenly, a flash of lightning appeared on the top of the port's lighthouse tower. Eyes facing each other. A depressing atmosphere enveloped the dock area. Why do you want to take the initiative to provoke? This is not in line with your style. Because the times are calling. We can no longer bear the anger in our hearts. How can your ridiculous justice understand our tolerance? Boom. The purple-red conquerors soared into the sky, tearing apart the clouds in the sky. The shock wave swept through, and the wind roared past. Porcelino's cloak ruffled. The eyes under the sunglasses had an extremely solemn expression. It's more powerful than before, and this conqueror's is a bit scary. It's useless to talk more. Let's see the truth under your hands. Porcelino. A stream of iron sand condensed in the palm of Joshua's hand to create a high-frequency vibrating sword. Come on. Porcelino condensed the Sky Tsung Yun sword. Boom. The two swords collided with each other. The blue thunder and the yellow flash are colliding, as if they are dividing the world into two realms, blue and yellow. Red thunder soaring snake. The thunder snake entwining conquerors sprang out from behind Joshua and rushed straight into the face of Porcelino, who was fighting with the sword. Flash refraction. Porcelino instantly turned into light and dispersed. In the blink of an eye, the two sides have fought hundreds of times. They are both extremely fast people. Although light is faster than electricity, light movement is good at traveling straight for long distances, while electric movement is more suitable for short-distance movement, so the speed of the two sides is almost the same. The older Porcelino is experienced, and his skills, physical strength, and endurance are all at their peak. Young Joshua has powerful conquerors and huge reserves of vitality. The battle between the two at this moment was almost evenly matched. 8-foot beautiful Magatama. Countless light bullets flew away from his head and face. Magnetic field rotation, positron cannon. The light bullet was distorted and deflected by the powerful magnetic field of Joshua's body, and the positron cannon condensed with terrifying aura rushed towards Porcelino in an instant. Danger. Porcelino got out of the way immediately. Magnetic field rotation, wireless shock. As soon as Porcelino appeared through refraction, a terrifying electric current appeared around his body. His armed domineering force instantly opened the electric current. Can it hit anyone within the scope of the magnetic field? Magnetic field rotation, iron sand hell. Hoo-ho-ho. Click. The surrounding buildings instantly disappeared in the wind, as if they had experienced millions of years of weathering. Black iron sand clouds, entangled with armed domineering energy, completely destroyed the entire cowport. The black wind was full of iron sand. Porcelino was like a little golden sun at this time, using terrifying and airtight lasers to resist Joshua's iron sand hell. At this moment, both sides entered the stage of fighting for endurance. The fierce fighting lasted all day and night. Noah and others did not take action because he knew very well that if Porcelino wanted to escape, no one could stop him. Therefore, there is no need to launch an encirclement and suppression campaign. Noah's target is the Buster Call fleet that Cyborg brought over this time and the Marine executives. And he has not forgotten that the purpose of this operation is to coordinate the actions of the Sky Empire. Although it is important to eliminate Marine's active force, some time needs to be delayed in the early stage so that Shiki can deal with the red-haired pirates first. After a day and night of hard work, the Marine headquarters Buster Call fleet finally arrived at the waters off the Kingdom of Lucia. At this time, it happened to be the morning when the sun was rising. Under the first ray of sunlight, after seeing the Buster Call fleet, a news bird immediately dropped the dozens of newspapers it carried and flew away in a hurry. Zifa caught one of the newspapers and his eyes widened when the title came into view. Declaration of War. Declaration of War. Declaration of War. Liberator Don Noah declares full war on the world government. He quickly scanned the newspaper. The more you look at the sweat on your forehead, the more intense it becomes, and your breathing becomes faster. Because it not only contains the code names of Noah and several members who have appeared, but also the philosophy and program of the Kingdom of Dawn, as well as related content about the human hunting game of the Draco, and finally Noah's request to the world government and various franchisees' declaration of war. This is human hunting game? With the characters of those guys, it is indeed possible. Arrogant person, is our justice real justice? Keep your voice down. With the whispers of the sailors around him and his body, Zifa's heart became more and more cold and depressed. As a former general, he naturally knew that the crimes of the Tianlong people in the newspapers were a real and cruel reality. Hand in all newspapers immediately. This is a rumor spread by the enemy. Ghost Spider led the gendarmerie and roared and confiscated the newspapers in everyone's hands. Sora in the cabin was already exhausted at this time, because the 5 elders had just called him, scolded him, and asked him to immediately destroy the so-called Kingdom of Dawn and the Liberator organization. However, the 5 elders were so angry that they could not stop the situation from deteriorating further. Morgans, who was well prepared, printed several times more newspapers than usual and had newsbirds spread them out at almost the same time, giving no time for the world government to react. After scattering the newspapers, the newsbird immediately rubbed oil on its sawls and disappeared without a trace. Morgans himself even hid directly inside the Sky Empire's Rapid Province, using the Sky Empire as a shield. At this time, the sea was completely boiling. Sabaody Islands. Shaki's ripoff bar. Rayleigh rarely went to drink and gamble. He held the newspaper in his hand tightly with both hands. Noah the Liberator? Noah's Ark. The promised date has not yet arrived. Why did such a huge change happen? Why are you so obsessed with the so-called promised date and the promised person? Shaki was once a member of the Rocks Pirates. Of course, she knew the reason for the Valley of the Gods incident, which was actually the triennial event of the Celestial Dragons, caused by human hunting game. Although she felt that the Liberator Noah was very extreme, she had to admire his courage and courage. At least the small-time revolutionary army did not directly declare war on the world government, let alone kill the celestial dragons, kings and nobles, unscrupulous merchants, and marine pirates. At this time, the whole world was caught off guard by this sudden change. The red-haired Shanks and the Golden Lion compete for supremacy in the New World. Chapter 117, Part 2. Compared with the declaration of war by the Kingdom of Dawn, world government, it seems even more petty. Although many forces believe that the Kingdom of Dawn and the Liberator organization are seeking self-destruction, this is the first time in 800 years that the world government has openly declared war on its existence. In an instant, the whole world's attention was drawn to the Kingdom of Lucia at the eye of the storm. As for the Kingdom of Lucia, the cowport has completely turned into an iron sand desert. Porcellino sensed the arrival of Fleet Admiral and others, and secretly breathed a sigh of relief. After all, he had been fighting with Joshua for a day and a night, and he had to secretly guard against sneak attacks by other members of the Liberator organization, which put great psychological pressure on him. Joshua also stopped and looked at Porcellino with a smile. You seem to be very happy? Could it be that the arrival of Cyborg Kong gave you the illusion that you can fight back? Haha, it's really a terrifying range of sight, hearing, and color sensing. Porcellino looked calm. Chapter 118, Part 1. Lelouchia Kingdom, Cowport Ruins. Kong, Zifa, Juchi, Ghost Spider, and hundreds of colonel-level marine officers from the Buster Call fleet appeared behind Porcellino. Flying Squirrel and the other 3 Commodores stayed on the warship to guard against enemy raids. In addition, the artillery on the warship had been filled and aimed at various areas of the Lelouchia Kingdom. Joshua, who was opposite the Marine senior management, did not feel too much pressure because he was waiting for someone to arrive. Not a moment. Noah, Vic, Crow, Lilith, and Lillian also appeared behind Joshua. When Noah came to the front, Sora also came to the front of Porcellino. The two looked at each other in silence. Are you Don Noah? I didn't expect you to come here in person. I thought it would be Warring States or Garp coming here. You are already very old. Is the salary from world government worth your efforts? Sora's armed color wrapped around his whole body, as if he didn't intend to continue talking nonsense. In an instant, fighting broke out suddenly. The 3 conquerors of Noah, Vic, and Joshua are not only very powerful, but also fused together. Boom. Sora also unleashed his hidden conqueror's haki. However, Sora's face looked extremely ugly at this moment. During the conqueror's competition, Sora was suppressed, which not only affected him, but other marine officers were also strongly oppressed. 8-foot beautiful Magatama. The magnetic field rotates and Fudomai. The overwhelming light bombs were deflected in all directions. At %G% carat boom, 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 the fields and mountains of the Kingdom of Lelouchia were blown into large craters, and the wild animals fled and howled like crazy. Zifa's hands were wrapped with armed domineering force. At this time, he had not had an arm cut off, but the influence of age and asthma still made him somewhat powerless. Let me weigh the purity of the unkillable general. Vic's armed color covered his whole body, and he pounced on him. Boom. 2 dark fists collided together, and then both sides retreated dozens of meters. Zifa's eyes became more solemn. Nice armed color. I thought Mr. Zifa would give a lecture? Vic had already heard about Zifa's deeds and style. Zifa tore off his suit and cloak of justice. There is no need. I have already felt your perseverance and courage, and I am not qualified to preach, so let me see if you have the ability to subvert this world. Ahahaha. As you wish, remember? My name is Vic. Vic was so excited that his whole body trembled slightly, and then shattered his shirt, revealing his marble-like muscles, armed colors and conquerors wrapped around his body. Boom, boom, boom. The two of them exchanged punches wildly. Vic did not use the fruit power, but only used physical skills and domineering. During the fierce fight, both of them moved towards the grassland on the north side. At the moment Zifa took action, Jiaji also drew out his long knife. Lillian behind Noah instantly entered the flame god mode, with blue and white flames and weapons wrapped around the flame god's martial body. It turns out to be the blue flame witch. Although I don't really want to fight a girl, there is no other way. Who can make us have different positions? Haha, uncle, don't die. As soon as he finished speaking, a laser swept across. Jiaji saw the danger and immediately shaved one after another. Sizzling. The laser instantly penetrated the iron sand in the port, leaving a gully of more than 10 kilometers on the sea surface. The water vapor that was instantly evaporated filled the sea surface. It's so dangerous. If you get hit, you will really be doomed. As an elite lieutenant general, and the kind of being who can compete with generals, Jiaji felt how terrifying Lillian was at this time. Lillian, covered in flames, walked forward while calmly explaining her inner will. There has never been a rule. There can only be one sun in the sky. The sun without mercy, boom. Jiaji's eyes widened. Even though he was covered in armed domineering energy, he still felt the heat and sting coming from the air. Lillian's simulated combustion has entered a state of nuclear fission. The simulated uranium element instantly undergoes a nuclear fission reaction under high temperature, pressure, and high concentration. The ground began to melt and turned into a large piece of magma. Various rays and high-energy neutrons are sprayed in all directions. Get out of here quickly. However, a dozen Marine officers who had no time to react were instantly hit by nuclear radiation and high-energy neutrons because they were too close. My eyes. Save me. Jiaji instantly swung out a powerful slashing wave. Lillian's pupil shone brightly, and 2 laser beams shot out. Sizzling. The slashing wave was instantly penetrated and ablated by the laser, and Jiaji had to continue to swing out slashing attacks and kept increasing the coverage of the armed domineering force. Even if they tried their best, the dozen Marine officers could not escape. Their cells had completely collapsed. Within a dozen steps, they were bleeding from 7 holes and their skin ulcerated and died. Jiaji quickly shouted, "You are not needed here. You go support the ghost spider." As if they were granted amnesty, all the officers immediately ran towards the ghost spider with all their might. Jiaji didn't care too much, because now he had to go all out and focus all his energy on dealing with Lillian. Ghost Spider's opponent is Crow. Devil Fruit is not invincible. The Ghost Spider wears a set of reticulated armor mixed with sea stone ingredients and is not afraid of Crow's approach at all. Moreover, 2 of his 8 knives were mixed with sea floor stone and were specially used to deal with ability users. Among the surrounding Marine officers, they were also holding sea stone weapons or using sea stone bullets, ready to support Ghost Spider. Crow's face was calm. He had long expected that one day the enemy would use sea floor stone weapons to deal with him, so he had made special preparations and training in this area. Red blood hit the water. A Marine colonel was kicked away by a Ghost Spider. Where Colonel Marine was standing just now, a hole the size of a bowl appeared. Red blood gun wave. Bang! The Ghost Spider blocked it with the blade of its long knife, and its body was pushed back more than 20 meters. Be careful, this is a fishman karate move. Shoot, cover. Bang bang bang. Red blood mist leech. A large amount of blood mist erupted from Crow's body and spread rapidly in all directions. Blood leeches like leeches were hidden in the blood mist. The Ghost Spider sensed the danger and immediately spun its body, kicking out countless lantern kicks with both legs. Land kick tornado. Although the blood mist was partially weakened, the complexity of the mountain forest terrain still allowed some blood leeches to successfully penetrate. Even if you are armed, as long as your body is not covered, you will end up dead. Soon, a dozen armed and sexless Marine officers were drained of blood by blood leeches and turned into shriveled corpses. I'm going to chop you into pieces. The ghost spider's hair and hands waved 8 long knives and rushed towards Crow. "You're really irritable." Crow's body instantly turned into a bat, and the surrounding mountains and forests were suddenly shrouded in darkness. The ghost spider pounced on nothing. Chapter 118, Part 2. It doesn't matter if you have the Sea Tower Stone net armor and the Sea Tower Stone long knife. As long as you can't hit the target, you will still be killed. After all, the characteristics of the vampire fruit are endurance, vitality, and weirdness. Crow is not afraid of competing with the opponent for physical strength. Anyway, this mission was to delay time first. He didn't want to kill the opponent all at once and cause Marine to react. Now he has to maintain a seemingly even situation and make Marine think they can fight. Back. Chapter 119, Part 1. With Zifa, Jajia, Ghost Spider, and others joining the battle. Both sides were still in Cow Harbor at this time. Only Noah, Lilith, and Marine Sora were left. Lilith immediately spread her wings and flew high, entered the invisible state, and lurked. She was on guard against Marine's Buster Call fleet. It seems they have found an opponent. Should we warm up? Noah smiled and took off his shirt, revealing ordinary muscles. Under those not exaggerated muscles, there seems to be a Poseidon-like wild atmosphere hidden. Sora was ready to go. Arrogant boy. Let me tell you what the sky is and the earth is high. Man of steel. The body of a blue dragon. 10 times the power. Boom. Click. The surrounding rock formations exploded instantly, spreading in all directions like a spider web. How is it possible? Kong was shocked in his heart. What kind of power is this? Is this guy really a human being? Even those with phantom beast abilities don't have such terrifying power. Let's warm up. Your Majesty, Fleet Admiral. The air is screaming and the ground is crumbling. The pitch-black fist touched his face in an instant. Boom. Poof. Sora's face was twisted, blood spurted out from the corner of his mouth, and his body was instantly knocked several hundred meters away. Even the Haki who saw and heard the color had no time to react, and the violent force was like a volcanic eruption. Ha! Don't underestimate Marine. His empty hands transformed into a palm knife. Steel knife. The sword of the palm is like Sinjiguanin, and it cuts thousands of blades. Well done. Paishan. Noah also waved his palms, and the shadows of his palms filled the sky with shock waves like a meteor shower. Boom, boom, boom. Within a radius of more than 10 kilometers, whether it is the sea, the sky, or the ground, it is filled with shock waves and incense blades. Distant on the sea, the flying squirrel held the telescope, and cold sweat broke out on his forehead. Back up quickly. Back up another 5 kilometers. As soon as he finished speaking, he drew out his sword and slashed a dozen times in an instant, blocking a small part of the spreading lawn and shock wave. Gulu. Received. Even the Buster Call sailors who had seen strong winds and waves felt the terrifying power of the sea at this time. This kind of pure physical attack can actually cover an area with a radius of more than 10 kilometers, which is simply terrifying. The screen turned back to Noah and Sora. Steel nails. Needle-like shock waves burst out from Sora's fists. The air was punched out in a series of cavities and sonic booms. Tiger bites. Conqueror's entwined fist erupted into a red tiger shock wave. Boom. The fierce collision tore the sky apart, driving the entire ruins of Cow Harbor completely into the seabed, leaving a large crater with a radius of about 3 kilometers. Empty continuous moonwalk soars into the air. Noah rotated his body's magnetic field and suspended in mid-air. The moment their eyes met, fists and feet collided again between lightning and flint. The fierce battle changed the already devastated kingdom of Lelouchia beyond recognition. The flying squirrel on the warship in the distance already felt that the situation was out of control. He held the phone and spoke in an extremely solemn tone. Commander the situation is not good. The enemy's strength is too strong. Sora Fleet Admiral, Teacher Zifa, Lieutenant General Porcelino, Lieutenant General Kaji, and Lieutenant General Ghost Spider cannot suppress the opponent. Instead, we have lost more than 30 elite officers. Things have turned out to be like this. He thought hard in Malinfando. She understands that at this stage, Marine has too few troops at its disposal, especially in terms of high-end combat power, which is obviously lacking. Kuzan wants to garrison the Sabaody Islands and beware of outlaws attacking Mariajoya. Sengoku and Sakaski have to garrison New World and be on guard against the 4 emperors. At the same time, they have to keep an eye on North Blue and West Blue at all times, unable to escape at all. Garp fell out of control at a critical moment and is still in Rog Town, unable to come back. Only she, Gion, Huashishin, Dark Horse, and 3 giant lieutenant generals were left in the headquarters. At most, they could only squeeze out 1 high-end combat force to support them. Flying Squirrel, please keep in touch with the headquarters at any time. I will communicate with the 5 elders. Yes, please. It's your job. Crane immediately called 5 elders. At this time, Marie Joa's power was within her. The 5 elders were sitting upright, listening to the report from the person in charge of CP2. The above is all the information about the Kingdom of Lelucia. The Buster Call fleet, currently led by Sora, has encountered stubborn resistance from the Liberator Organization, and the 2 sides are fighting fiercely. Trash. Saint Satan's face was gloomy. Has it grown so powerful? Saint Maz frowned. I may not be able to defeat the opponent if I'm bearish. After all, the space-type ability user hasn't appeared yet. Should we take action? Nazho Langsheng was a little hesitant. Saint Satan shook his head. No, the safety of the Holy Land is more important. If we attack and the opponent moves through space and raids Mary Joa, then we will fall into a more passive situation. Then let the Knights of God take action. Second, Saint Satan expressed his thoughts. No, the Knights of God are a trump card and cannot be used now. Let CP0 and Shichibukai be dispatched. There are 2 Shichibukai near the Kingdom of Lucia. Let them set off to Lucia immediately. Kingdom. Is this like this? It's okay. Brew. Nazho Langsheng pressed the answer button. Your Excellency 5 elders, I am Crane. Sorry to bother you. What's up? Fleet Admiral's Buster Call fleet has encountered a strong counterattack from the enemy. I am worried that I will not be able to complete the demon-slaying mission perfectly. Now I am preparing to ask Kuzan to rush for emergency assistance. I hope that Your Excellency 5 elders can allow CP personnel to temporarily assist in the defense of the Sabaody Islands for a period of time. Kazan. Saint Nashalang thought for a while, then looked at the others. The other 5 elders also nodded, and then he answered, we agreed. In addition, we will notify Shichibukai's Moonlight Moria and Terra Weapondoria and let them support the Kingdom of Lucia. However, I hope Marine can completely eliminate the Liberator Organization. Your Excellency 5 elders, I believe that Fleet Admiral Kong thinks so too. Okay, go ahead and notify Kazan. I understand, bye. After hanging up the phone, the 5 elders quickly notified CP9 and asked the Gate Fruit user to take several members of CP0 to notify Moonlight Moria and Terra Weapondoria, and then go directly to the Kingdom of Lelucia. As for the red-haired pirates and the Sky Empire, 5 elders didn't even mention it. After all, in the hearts of the 5 elders, Shanks is just an abandoned son of the celestial dragons. If it were normal times, the 5 elders would not mind mobilizing CP and Marine to maintain a balance between him and the Golden Lion to facilitate future planning of New World and Sky Empire. But now the Liberator Organization is riding on it. Chapter 119, Part 2. If the Liberator Organization is not encircled and suppressed, the other party will definitely continue to attack other participating countries and completely shake the foundation of world government's rule. This is something that the 5 elders and the Draco cannot stand. Soon Bruno of CP9 passed the gate of opening, took away 3 CP0s from Merigio's CP0 base, and headed to the terrifying triangle to inform Moonlight Moria. However, they don't know. Just when the 5 elders informed Doria through the phone bug, this information was known to the Noah family. Doria, who was hiding in the Turtle Island fortress, did not refuse the 5 elders, but looked very interested. In Kazan on the Sabaody Islands, after receiving the notice from Crane, he rarely rode a bicycle. Instead, he directly used Moonwalk to continuously ride in the air and hurried to the Kingdom of Lucia. Chapter 120, Part 1. At the same time, a fierce battle broke out in the Kingdom of Lucia and Paradise. The red-haired pirates on the New World side are also rapidly approaching the borders of the Sky Empire's rapid provinces. However, Shiki obviously would not choose to start a war with the red-haired pirates on the border of the Rift Province. The red-haired pirates had just completed their supplies and sailed more than 50 kilometers. They were still about 430 kilometers away from the border of the Riptide Province when they encountered an island falling from the sky. Boom, boom, boom. More than a dozen islands fell one after another from the sky. It immediately triggered a tsunami tens of meters high and a violent shock wave. The red-haired Shanks concentrated Conqueror's slashes, but still did not destroy the island wreckage that hit the Red Force. Fortunately, other members of the red-haired pirate group also took action to destroy the stones that fell. But Beckman's face was very ugly, because among the dozen islands, only 3 were smashed around the red force, and the remaining islands were smashed around it. The sea area selected by Shiki has a depth of only more than 70 meters. When the islands are circled and smashed down, the location of the red force will be surrounded and become a lake. Condescending Shiki, looking at the red-haired Shanks on the deck below, he gently lit a cigar. Huh, are you satisfied with your own grave? Shikidano has changed so much. Red-haired Shanks smiled at Kaido. You are very confident. I hope you can keep it up later. As soon as he finished speaking, the blade in Shiki's hand was unsheathed. Red heart snare. An airtight, slashing wave fell from the sky, blasting towards the red-haired pirates. The red-haired Shanks raised the sword griffin. Come on! The clouds in the sky were instantly blown away by conquerors. The slashes and slashes collided with each other, erupting into even more terrifying shocks. Beckman raised his pistol and drew his sword at the same time. Jesus Boo's sniper rifle is aimed at Shiki. The core members of the red-haired pirates all gathered their armed domineering energy. As for the Sky Empire, Monet, Lai Yong, Hermit, Faz Fu, Shermu, Mantis, and Black Maria all landed on the ruins of the island where they fell before. Oxygen snow, suffocating hell. Monet was the first to take action, which was a large-scale negative skill. Beckman had already known part of Monet's abilities through underground intelligence dealers, so everyone in the red-haired pirate group brought oxygen bottles. Nitrogen snow, falling snow on Earth. Whoosh whoosh. Under the snowstorm, the lake on the island was frozen solid in an instant. After all, the people in the Sky Empire are all devil fruit users, so of course Monet must create a favorable situation for his side. Roar. Shermu entered the orc form Triceratops. Roar. Faz Fu also entered the orc form and turned into a saber-toothed tiger. Liang rushed over with 2 people, Beckman and others. The hermit raised his rifle, the corrosive air and armament wrapped around the bullet. Black Maria sprayed out dense spider webs, covering them in all directions. The mantis makes a special gesture and turns into a huge barrier giant. As the main force of both sides, Shiki and Shanks have already fought on one of the ruined islands. The red-haired conquerors is indeed very powerful, but Shiki directly borrowed Noah's conquerors, which is also very powerful. Although Noah in the Lucia Kingdom was temporarily unable to use conquerors while Shiki was borrowing conquerors, Noah's strength, blessed by the power fruit, did not drop much, and his purpose was to delay time for Shiki and others to solve it first. The red-haired pirates. Although Shanks knew that Shiki's conquerors was very powerful through information from underground intelligence merchants, he didn't pay too much attention to it. After all, he had seen the Golden Lion's conquerors when he was in the Roger Pirates. But as soon as they fought, he knew that he had underestimated his opponent. Shiki's conqueror's strength was unexpectedly strong, and even Shanks's proud wisdom kill was suppressed to the point where it was difficult to take effect. What's even more terrifying is that Monet's suffocating hell is still affecting the entire battlefield at all times. Shiki was fully prepared. Before the war started, he asked Luo to come over and make a small modification to all the personnel who needed to participate in the war. A breathing balloon was implanted in the lungs. There was a card in this breathing balloon, which was Magic Card, Oxygen Cylinder. Magic Card, Oxygen Cylinder, has a very large oxygen storage capacity with a capacity of 4 cubic kilometers, and is set to slow release mode. Therefore, the Sky Empire combatants present did not need to inhale oxygen from the surrounding environment and could directly fight with high intensity in Monet's suffocating hell. This situation directly caused the gap between the two sides to expand invisibly. The members of the red-haired pirates are human beings after all. They need to breathe and eat. Even with amazing physical strength, they cannot withstand long-term and high-intensity battles in an oxygen-free environment. Even if Beckman prepared a lot of oxygen bottles, it would not help. After all, compared with the external oxygen bottle outside the body and the oxygen bottle magic card implanted in the body, there is a huge difference between the two. Everyone, stay away from that blizzard Monet as soon as possible and go to the beach. They are all ability users. Beckman slashed with a slash and shouted to his companions around him. Liang grinned, revealing his white teeth. Ha, Beckman, you still have some brains. But it's a pity that you followed a fool captain. But Beckman didn't respond at all. Instead, he continued to shout to his companions. Don't talk nonsense to them. They are stalling for time. Fanatical killing fist. Liaoyang's hands turned into afterimages all over the sky. A series of fist-shaped high-heat shock waves covered Beckman. Sword Zen bounce. Beckman waved his sword and spun it at high speed, deflecting the high-heat shock wave that hit him. Boom, boom, boom. The surrounding ice surface was blasted away by the shock wave, and a series of large craters were created. The high-heat melting seawater stirred up dense white mist of water vapor. High-pressure steam punch. Liang used the surrounding high-temperature water vapor to quickly condense a dense fist of high-pressure and high-temperature water vapor and rushed towards Beckman. Beckman exploded back several hundred meters, inserted his palm into the ice, and directly lifted up several hundred meters of ice, turning it into an ice wall to block the water vapor punch. In the exchange of back and forth, the two people gradually came to the ruins of an island near the northwest. Others were also engaged in fierce fighting and moved to the ruins of the island in various directions. Beckman, who was just standing on the edge of the island, didn't feel relaxed at all because there was no oxygen here either. This is the terror of those with Logia abilities. This natural disaster-level ability to change terrain, climate, and environment is almost a nightmare-like disaster for the enemy. Chapter 120, Part 2. Snow fruit is not as good as frozen fruit in terms of temperature drop, but it is more convenient than frozen fruit in creating and maintaining a large-scale oxygen-free environment. At this time, Monet did not participate in the battle at all, but instead tried his best to maintain the suffocating hell, turning an area with a radius of more than 30 kilometers into an oxygen-free human-forbidden zone. Shanks and Beckman, who could fight against Monet, were held back by Shiki and Liang. The other members of the red-haired pirates obviously did not have the ability to fight Monet. In the current situation, for the red-haired pirates, if they cannot break Monet's suffocation hell, once the oxygen bottles they carry are exhausted, the result waiting for them will be a complete defeat. You can read more daily new novels on fictionzone.net. Both sites share the same login details, so you don't need to sign up again. Chapter 121, Part 1. At the same time, a fierce battle broke out between the red-haired pirates and the Sky Empire. The action was watched around the world via Morgan's live news bird. Obviously, the red-haired pirates carrying oxygen bottles, in the eyes of all parties, will be defeated by the Golden Lion's Sky Empire sooner or later. After all, the capacity of the oxygen bottles is limited. Sabaody Islands. Inside Shaki's ripoff bar, Rayleigh looked at the projections of the two live phone bugs. One was the battlefield of the Lucia Kingdom, and the other was naturally the battlefield of the abandoned island in New World. He frowned. Shanks is too impatient. He can fight against Shiki himself, but his crew may not be able to fight against the masters of the Sky Empire. Shaki, who was smoking, analyzed. That Blizzard Monet's strength is terrifying. If a person without Logia ability encounters her, it will be difficult to fight her for a long time, especially if they are unprepared. I hope Shanks won't lose too badly. Rayleigh sighed helplessly. Now he can only watch the live broadcast and can't do anything else at all. After all, it will take at least about 26 days to travel from the Sabaody Islands to the Sky Empire, even if he travels with all his strength. With the current trend, Rayleigh can almost determine that the red-haired pirate group will not be able to hold on for a day. Marine's main headquarters is Malinfando. He and others are also watching the live broadcast. She looked at the situation of the red-haired pirates and shook her head. The red-haired pirates will definitely be defeated. That Blizzard Monet can actually develop the fruit ability to this extent. Unless Kazan, Sakaski, and the three of them, Porcelino, or the others who meet her will most likely end in a disastrous defeat. As the general person in charge of the Marine Intelligence System, Lieutenant General Darkhorse also nodded solemnly. This woman's ability is indeed very difficult. Even if Lieutenant General Garp and Warring States General encounter her, if there is no way to fight quickly, they may be defeated by the opponent once they fall into a protracted battle. It's not that Dark Horse looks down on Garp and Sengoku, but the two are not fast enough and don't have super long-range attack methods, so they can easily be kited by Monet. After all, from the live broadcast at this time, Dark Horse roughly estimated that the radius of the oxygen-free zone created by Monet was about 30 kilometers. With a radius of 30 kilometers, Sengoku and Garp tried their best, but still needed to run for a few minutes. The problem was that Monet was not dead. She could also keep moving and extend the anaerobic zone simultaneously. Monet not only restrains Sengoku and Garp, but also restrains people other than Logia ability users and undead ability users. Unless, like Brooke, you don't need to breathe oxygen, it will be difficult to avoid the negative effects of an oxygen-free environment. The other two Sea Emperors of the New World, the Whitebeard Pirates and Big Mom Pirates, were also silently watching the live broadcast of the two battlefields. The Big Mom Pirates are afraid of the Sky Empire and plan to take this opportunity to learn more about the strength of the Sky Empire. On the other hand, the Whitebeard Pirates are relatively simple. That kid is too arrogant, and Shiki's strength has improved further. I hope he can survive. Whitebeard took a sip of rum and looked at the live broadcast calmly. Dad, please take care of yourself, Marco reminded with a headache. Whitebeard patted Marco on the shoulder. Ha ha ha, Lousy is not old enough to stop drinking. The sons on the deck didn't look too concerned. Teach, who was also drinking and giggling, actually despised the brothers on the boat. After all, in Teach's view, these guys were just feeding on old people and parasites. They were unprogressive and lazy all day long. The beard is dead, and these guys will definitely be eliminated by the times. But Teach was still a little anxious at this time. The dark fruit that he longed for has not yet been obtained, and the sea has undergone tremendous changes, which makes him involuntarily worry. Even if he obtains the dark fruit in the future, he may have to face the terrifying Sky Empire and the Kingdom of Dawn. Also a new world. About 930 kilometers away from the battlefield between the Sky Empire and the red-haired pirates, a small coffin ship was speeding along on the sea. Mihawk rowed frantically with a big black knife. In the past few days, the CP organization secretly informed him, asking him to go to the Sky Empire to support the red-haired pirates and ensure that the red-haired Shanks survived. Although he was surprised by world government's behavior, he did not refuse the task. After all, Shanks was his good friend, and he also wanted to try the sword of the great swordsman of the previous era. Suddenly, the sky became dark. Mihawk frowned, then stopped rowing and looked up at the sky above. Among the clouds, a huge black shadow slowly broke through the white clouds. Are you from the Sky Empire? Mihawk held you tightly and struck a cross slash at the island falling from the sky. The fallen island was cut into 4 parts by the cross. However, due to the huge inertia, the island still maintained its integrity and continued to crash into the sea around Mihawk. Mihawk's domineering surge surged. Open it for me. The intensive slashing attacks entwined with armament hockey and conqueror's hockey instantly penetrated the middle of the island, cutting out a whole dozens of meters in size. Boom. The fragments of the island hit the sea, causing a tsunami tens of meters high, and Mihawk soared into the sky on the moonwalk. 10 minutes later, he landed gently on one of the ruins of the island. He truly deserves to be the world's best swordsman. But this road is blocked. Robin's voice sounded from all directions. You want to stop me? Why is Mr. Mihawk so persistent? If you want to stop me, just show up. Robin's clone appeared on the top of a gravel mountain not far from Mihawk. Woman? Mihawk raised his eyebrows. I am Umbu, the garden manager of the Sky Empire. Robin introduced himself with a smile. Mihawk seemed to sense something was wrong. Are you sure you're the only one? I'm the only one at the moment, but that should be enough. Mihawk's eyes turned cold. In that case, let me try to see where your confidence comes from. Someone once said something to me, that is, knowledge is power. When I realized the true meaning of this sentence, I realized my own insignificance. The more I knew, the more ignorant I felt. Are you trying to say that I'm a frog in a well? Robin smiled and said nothing, without the slightest thought of explanation. Her clone quickly wrapped around its exoskeleton, and the internal muscles quickly filled in. A figure 3.14 meters tall, covered with a silver-gray exoskeleton, stood opposite Mihawk. Is this your devil fruit ability? Understanding the essence of things is the most powerful truth. Robin's clone disappeared instantly and appeared on Mihawk's left side in an instant, with the bone claws of his fingers digging into his temple. Bang! Mihawk raised his sword to block, then turned the blade and struck Robin's clone. Robin's clone moved forward instead of retreating, and the knife instantly cut open the exoskeleton. Chapter 121, Part 2. Mihawk's pupils shrank sharply, and he switched from chopping to shooting among the lightning flints, sending Robin's clone flying several hundred meters away. At this time, a wound appeared on Mihawk's wrist. If he hadn't used armed body protection at the critical moment, his hand might have been broken. This ability? It was obvious that the flower of Robin's organ had grown on Mihawk's wrist at that moment. After thinking for a while, Mihawk asked with some uncertainty, Are you a person with flower fruit abilities? Chapter 122, Part 1. It's really troublesome to see and hear domineering. Robin's clone stood up from the rubble and rocks. She did not answer Mihawk's question, but dusted herself off. What if this is the case? How should you respond? 2 more exoskeleton clones appeared around him. Mihawk frowned, and his body was immediately covered with armed domineering energy. As long as you know your true body, then these clones should be able to defeat themselves without attack, right? Then he picked up the big black sword Yi and jumped into the air. In an instant, the sword blade was like a storm. Click. Boom, boom, boom. The three clones were immediately cut into pieces by the intensive slashing wave. The entire ruined island was chopped into pieces. Robin's human body blossoming skill also lost its effect when faced with Mihawk, who was covered in armed colors. However, in the face of such a terrible attack, the hidden Robin still did not appear. Mihawk's eyes narrowed, and he looked at the lake on the island that he subconsciously ignored. Can people with abilities also swim? He instantly wrapped Conqueror's haki around his broadsword and slashed towards the barrier lake in the middle of the island. Come out, boom! The barrier lake in the island was suddenly divided into two. Robin, who was hiding inside, finally had to come out. Why would you, being so smart, choose such a dead end? Robin floated up from the lake in the island. The exoskeleton area on his face was affected by the slash, and a small part cracked. Robin whispered while holding the remaining exoskeleton mask. Click. The mask was crushed. Among the scattered fragments, the delicate and three-dimensional face and the deep eyes were revealed. Mihawk in midair shrank his eyes. Son of the devil? Nico Robin. That slow whisper sounded on the empty island. Day after day of training, tempered will, O'Hara's review of old knowledge and new knowledge, coupled with the teaching of that adult. Robin looked up at the cloudless sky and the hot and calm sun. This is life under the sun. The life I once couldn't get. I can finally chase the sun with a little bit of my own strength. Warmth. Mihawk looked at the woman in front of him in silence. A dangerous aura was slowly coming to life in this woman's body. It seems that a critical point has been reached. Boom. A stream of red conquerors rose into the sky. Click. The surrounding rocks instantly cracked into spider web patterns. Mihawk's expression became more serious. He did not expect that this cunning woman could actually awaken Conqueror's domineering power, and once she awakened, its intensity would be very high. Break the mask of disguise and face my heart. I am indeed longing for the light. That adult is right. Only by facing fear can we become stronger. With such courage, you shouldn't join the Sky Empire. Mihawk expressed what was wrong in his heart. Really? The eyes can sometimes deceive themselves. Let me see how sharp the sword of the world's #1 swordsman is. Robin crossed his arms over his chest. The ultimate body. Flower demon. When the devil's armor covered his whole body, Robin's height reached 3.14 meters, and his figure was also in golden proportions. His exoskeleton was filled with a sense of wild ferocity and destruction. Devil Fruit Awakening? Mihawk was facing a formidable enemy. To thank you for letting me recognize myself, I will use 100% of my strength. As soon as he finished speaking, Robin's figure was still where he was. But Mihawk carried Yi and flew back several hundred meters. The blade of the blocking blade was strongly bent, as if it had been hit by something. Boom. Mihawk plunged his feet into the rock formations and slid back for more than 100 meters before he came to a stop. As soon as he stopped, he quickly swung his knife and slashed diagonally to the left front. Robin's body split automatically, and the slash passed through the crack. Flower Thunder Muscle, Magnetic Disruption. Mihawk felt the chaos around him, and his sense of sight began to fail. The next moment, a flower of hair appeared on his back. Mihawk immediately concentrated Conquerors and drove away the flower of hair that suddenly appeared on his back. Boom. His face was hit by a fist. His body rolled dozens of times and fell into the sea. Ahem. FA's Snake Cave. Mihawk was in the sea and suddenly felt dense hair snakes emerging around him. He once again inspired Conqueror's haki and wielded the Night Slash. Dozens of gullies were cut out of the seawater in an instant. Flower of Bones, Other Shore. Bone spurs popped up from all directions and surrounded Mihawk. Veins popped up on Mihawk's forehead. Gee! Click. A crack dozens of meters wide was opened in the bone spur hell, and Mihawk quickly jumped out of it, while swinging out a dozen powerful slashes again. Flower World Mandala. The tops of the spurs begin to bloom, and the pollen drifts in the wind. Dawn. Mihawk swept out a blast of wind with the blade of his sword, sweeping away the pollen, and then swung the sword again. Chu Yang. The ultimate slash entwined with Conqueror's domineering power seemed to tear the sky apart. Flower of Bones, Ivy. More than a dozen bone chains appeared from behind Robin, and the bone chains shot out, wrapping around the end of Conquerors and instantly extending a ferocious bone tiger. Roar. Boom, boom, boom. Flower of Hair, Rain Needle. Zhongtian. The The sky is full of needles wrapped with armed colors and toxins, falling from the sky and shooting to the ground. The tornado-like slash rolled up the hairpin and reflected it back to Robin's position. Robin did not retreat but advanced, directly turning into a sky full of petals. Body flower, Sakura Fukiyuki. The cherry blossom petals are like sharp blades, entwined with Conqueror's haki, armament haki and poison, and sweep towards Mihawk. Yuhi. Mihawk delivers bright and dense slashes. High-intensity combat without mercy. It lasted a day and a night. Even the general-level Mihawk felt tired at this time, not only physically but also mentally. He didn't expect Robin to be so terrifying. His physical strength seemed to be endless, and the large-scale attacks continued, leaving Mihawk exhausted. This is the first time since his debut that he has encountered such a terrifying opponent. Even when fighting against General Marine, Mihawk has never felt so tired. Obviously, he didn't know that Robin's physical strength was the only one in the entire Noah family that did not need to use life cards to replenish it, because she can quickly replenish her physical strength by eating in her clone. At this time, in the Fuso province of the Sky Empire, dozens of chefs were sweating profusely cooking Poseidon steaks. The dining table not far away was filled with all kinds of high-energy food. A vine similar to the Baron of the Stomach grew out from behind Robin's clone. At the top of the vine was a carnivorous flower with its mouth wide open. That's the scary thing about Robin. She can fight outside while eating and drinking in the base camp through her clone. In this case, her body has almost unlimited physical strength. Although the spirit will be exhausted, resulting in the inability to output the domineering force at a high intensity, ordinary ultimate moves can be output unscrupulously. This is the sense of oppression Mihawk felt when facing Robin. The tricks are weird. The attack is powerful. Amazing endurance. Chapter 122, Part 2. Even the 3 CP0 members who were secretly lurking nearby had solemn expressions on their faces at this time. They were all beating in their hearts now, without the confidence they had at the beginning. Originally, after they discovered Robin's true identity, they planned to take the opportunity to launch a sneak attack and kill this archaeologist who could read the text of history. However, after watching the battle for a day and a night, they no longer dare to think about sneak attacks. Chapter 123, Part 1. Sky Empire. A circular waste island battlefield in the southwest of the province. After a day and night of fierce fighting, no members of either side were killed. As soon as Jesus avoided a corrosive bomb, he felt a fatal threat looming in his heart. He quickly stepped back a few hundred meters to the left and rear. Yet the danger is still there. The next moment, his eyes widened. Click. His last bottle of oxygen broke into several cracks, and within a moment, all the oxygen inside quickly leaked out. That's not good. Why did the oxygen tank get destroyed even though we had clearly avoided the opponent's attack? Jesus was puzzled, but he knew that he had to go and join Beckman and others as soon as possible. He raised his sniper rifle and aimed at the hermit who was approaching violently. Click. Nanny. The sniper rifle's trigger broke. His expression changed, and he quickly pulled out the pistol from his backpack. Click. The pistol also malfunctioned. It's too late. The hermit had already appeared not far from Jesus. Jesus didn't have time to think about why the pistol was corroded. He quickly pulled out the dagger on his belt and wrapped it around the weapon. The hermit light corrosion. Ah. The sudden flash of light instantly blinded Jesus. Jesus Boo, who was originally weak in physical skills, was slapped by the hermit. Suddenly, the aura of armed domineering mixed with corrosive energy rushed into Jesus Boo's internal organs and bones. The hermit then flew with both hands, and the terrifying corrosive air was injected into Jesus Boo's body. Ah! Sizzle. After a while, Jesus Boo was covered in white smoke. His skin first swelled, then shriveled up like a punctured balloon, and finally even his bones were completely melted away. The hermit looked at the cleanly dead Jesus Boo, without any fluctuation on his face. In order to kill this guy, he deliberately entangled with the opponent for a day and a night, secretly eroding the opponent's equipment through continuous light corrosion and air corrosion. After all, Jesus Boo's armed color and domineering power are limited, and he must give priority to protecting his body and the sniper rifle in his hand. The protection of other items is naturally almost non-existent, which gives the hermit an opportunity to plot. The first member of the red-haired pirates to die appears. In midair, Shanks, who was fighting with Shiki, had already felt the death of Jesus Boo, with a trace of sadness and anger on his face. This is what you get for overestimating your capabilities. Shiki swung out intensive slashes mercilessly. At this time, Shanks's heart was full of regrets. After a day and night of fighting, he basically figured out Shiki's strength. He lost an arm, and even with the blessing of a more powerful conquerors, it was still very difficult to face Shiki. Shiki, take my move. God avoids. Kid, you are not Roger. Red Heart God Slaughter. Boom. A ruined island was shattered into pieces and then slowly sank into the sea. Shanks flew upside down and stepped on the ice, and the reaction force exploded hundreds of meters of ice. Supporting his body with Griffin, Shanks was sweating on his forehead and his chest was heaving. Hoo! However, he quickly took out the phone. Beckman, in the name of the captain, I give the order for all personnel to retreat. I will take the rear. Execute the order. Ha ha ha, kid. Is it too late to leave now? None of you can leave today. Shiki fell from the sky and looked down at Shanks in front of him. Shanks held Griffin tightly, and conquerors erupted. Shiki, if I choose to die together now, you may be able to survive, but others in the Sky Empire may not. You overestimate your abilities. Have you seen Lousy's true power? Shiki took off the cigar from his mouth, his eyes calm with a trace of teasing mockery. Question mark. Shanks was speechless. He didn't know how to answer for a while. After all, after a day and night of fighting, he thought he had a clear understanding of Shiki's power. Shiki pinched out the cigar, putting Ju and Muku back into the scabbard, and his domineering energy surged. Shanks felt a fatal danger when he saw and heard this. God's arrival, 100 times more power. Boom. Shanks's pupils shrank sharply, his body twisted like a cooked prawn, and his internal organs were shattered and collapsed by the violent force. Poof! As he flew upside down, Shanks spurted blood from his mouth. Boom! His body was smashed into the glacier several hundred meters away. At this moment, Shanks could only feel that the cells in his body were screaming, his internal organs were wailing, and his bones were breaking. Ahem! How is it possible to have such power? Frog in the well. Die. Perish together with your ridiculous ideas. Absolute killing punch. Boxing punches filled the sky, just like meteorites hitting the earth. Every punch was thrown. The earth and glaciers will collapse even more. The sea and islands hundreds of kilometers around were shaking slightly. Even Morgans, who was watching the live broadcast, was stunned at this time. He was as shocked as everyone watching the live broadcast. Shiki's most powerful method was not swordsmanship, but the fist that represented absolute power. Shanks, who was at the center of the attack, was defenseless at this time, and the armor and conqueror's color on his body were quickly fading away from each punch. In less than 3 minutes, Shanks had received more than 100 punches from Shiki. The bones were completely shattered. The flesh and blood were almost rotten. Internal organs were torn to pieces. Shiki stopped attacking, glanced indifferently at Shanks who was dying, released the god's arrival mode, lifted up the sharp knife Griffin, and manipulated the surrounding glaciers to bury this guy completely. One side of the battlefield. Just as Beckman was about to notify his other partners, he felt a piece of life paper in his pocket burning. He took it out and looked at it, and his hands and feet suddenly became cold. How is that possible? He then raised his head and looked into the distance, only to see that Shiki had floated into the air again, and the paper of life in his hand had burned out. A feeling of despair instantly enveloped Beckman's heart. Haha, your captain seems to be finished. Liang walked over from a short distance with a smile. Knives and bloodshed. Hot wind turns the world upside down. The heat of the environment around Liang's body suddenly mutated in an instant, causing the atmosphere of the environment to become chaotic and the airflow to become extremely strange. Beckman's slash was like cutting into mud. I have seen your death. As soon as he finished speaking, more than a dozen steam dragons wrapped around Beckman. Swords and Deathland. Beckman held the long knife tightly and approached Liang, staring at Liang with a death-like gaze. Big expansion. The heat in Liang's body was released instantly, and a terrifying heat shock wave swept across in all directions. Sizzling. Beckman was covered in armed colors and still could not completely withstand the thermal shock wave of several thousand degrees Celsius, but his inner will drove him to grit his teeth and persevere. Want to die together? This is not a good choice. A crazy smile appeared on Liang's lips. The Great Heat Death. Beckman's Knife. The Fist of the Blazing Sun. Chapter 123, Part 2. At the moment when they intertwined, the sharp sword entwined with Conqueror's haki and armed haki was smashed to pieces by the red iron fist. The second after the fist destroyed the knife, it hit Beckman's chest. Boom. Beckman's body flew several hundred meters upside down. During the process of flying upside down, his body seemed to enter a state of boiling chaos until it finally disappeared into thin air. This is Liaoyang's ultimate killing move, Great Heat. Death. Chapter 124, Part 1. As the red-haired Shanks, Beckman, and Jesus Boo were killed one after another, the red-haired pirate group also began to approach its demise. After all, the death of the red-haired Shanks means that Shiki, Liaoyang, and the Hermit can free up their hands. The red-haired pirates, who were already in a state of embarrassment, had no chance of making a comeback at this time. The cook Lucky Road, the ship's Dr. Hongo, the navigator Bendick Snake, the combatant Lime Jones, the combatant Roar Gabu, the musician Bank Punch, and the warrior Chi. Although they are all masters, but after all, their strength did not reach that of a general. The strongest Lackey Road and Snake were only at the level of Marine Elite Lieutenant General. In the past, when dealing with Black Maria, Mantis, Phosphoo, and others, they were evenly matched. As soon as Shiki, Liaoyang, and Hermit joined the battle, the result was almost one-sided. Less than 50 minutes. The red-haired pirates were completely wiped out. The power of the Sky Empire once again made the whole world tremble. Sabaody Islands. Shaki's ripoff bar. Rayleigh stared blankly at the live broadcast. Although he did not see Shank's body, he already knew that the red-haired pirates had lost and everything. 2 lines of tears fell down Rayleigh's face. Shaki was still vomiting, and she had no idea of comforting Rayleigh. After all, as a big pirate and an underground intelligence giant, she had long been used to separation between life and death. Silence was the best comfort at this time, and time would forget everything. East China Sea. Sterling Island, where Circus Kingdom is located. A young man dressed as a clown looked at the live broadcast in the bar. His face no longer had the playful smile of the past. Only gloom and sadness remained. Haha, this red-haired pirate group is nothing more than that. That's right, it caused Lousy to lose 5,000 belly. It's really rubbish. Haha, I defeated Sky Empire and won. He's just a scum of the sea. It would be better if he died. The clown had a gloomy look on his face and instantly drew his dagger. I am very angry right now. What were you laughing at just now? Joker, what do you want to do? Poof. A flying knife penetrated the man's throat. Killing people. Hole. Lousy is going to kill you. The clown looked at everyone with a ferocious face. Let's all die. Split into pieces with flying knives. Puff, puff, puff. Suddenly, blood flowed into the bar, and the screams gradually stopped. A few minutes later, a clown covered in blood pushed open the wooden door and walked out of the bar. New World. The island of White Earth. Long and Big Bear watched the live broadcast showing the destruction of the red-haired pirates. Although Long had no expression, the cold sweat on his forehead could still tell that he was uneasy inside. He knew the red-haired Shanks. When the other person stayed in Windmill Village, Long even went to warn him once to prevent him from harming his son. At the same time, he also knew that the red-haired Shanks brought the legendary fruit to the East China Sea, and it was accidentally eaten by Luffy. Long, who had fought against the opponent once in the East China Sea, believed that the strength of the red-haired Shanks could reach the level of the Emperor of the Sea. But he didn't expect that the red-haired Shanks would rush to challenge the Golden Lion and the Sky Empire, and suffer such a tragic defeat. Long could only sigh slightly. It's a pity that the sea has lost another king. As for what to support, Long was not his son Wang Luffy. He even chose to swallow his anger when Jinny was caught by the celestial dragons, let alone a red-haired Shanks with average connections. North Blue. Phew. A sneer appeared on Doflamingo's face. Only when you are alive can you become a winner. It seems that you are no more than that. Pika and other cadres of the Don Quixote family also laughed at this time. They were defeated by the red-haired pirates before, and could only return to North Blue from the New World in despair. Their hatred for the red-haired pirates was deep in their memory. Unexpectedly, within a few months, the red-haired pirate group, which had suppressed them without any resistance, would be completely wiped out by the Sky Empire. Although Brother Ming smiled on the surface, in his heart he had the idea of returning to the New World immediately. After all, Sky Empire's performance made Brother Ming find it difficult to resist. Maria Joya. Among powers. The 5 elders all looked sullen. This lion actually hides such a powerful power. Nashirose wiped the first-generation Kitetsu. Saint Maz looked at Saint Satan. Vegapunk must be urged to develop the Mother Fire as soon as possible. We need the power of the national treasure to deal with the Sky Empire and the Liberator Organization. I will urge Vegapunk to speed up research. Satan Shung also felt that the times were about to go crazy. This question about Nicole Robin? Peter Saint looked at the live broadcast of one of the phone bugs. In that picture, it was the battle between Robin and Mihawk, which was broadcast live through CP0's phone bug. Nazho Langsheng shook his head. Let CP0 retreat immediately. There is no need to let the 3 CP0 elites die there. Obviously, Nashiro Sage has determined that Mihawk has failed. After all, facing Robin's high-intensity continuous attack, even the 5 elders will have a hard time defeating Robin in a one-on-one situation, and they may even be killed by Robin. Die. Then I'll tell them to retreat. St. Peter nodded. New World. Marine G1 base. Sengoku and Sakazuki looked at each other. Although the two of them had expected that the red-haired pirate group would fail, they did not expect that it would fail so completely. Unfortunately, Sengoku was also powerless at this time. He wanted to take Marine to contain the Sky Empire, but it was too late. Sakazuki, who can be propelled by spitting fire, is also too late. After all, he is not Porcelino, and he has no good impression of pirates, so naturally he has no interest in trying to contain him. However, the focus of the two of them at this time was actually on the live broadcast of Lucia Kingdom. If it weren't for the importance of New World, both Sengoku and Sakazuki would want to rush there immediately to join the war. After all, the loss of even one of Sora, Porcelino, Zifa, Kaji, Ghost Spider, and Flying Squirrel will affect Marine's overall strength. Especially Sora, who is the Marine Fleet Admiral, cannot be sacrificed easily. After all, in 800 years, Marine Fleet Admiral has never been killed in Marine. Once Kong dies in the Kingdom of Lelouchia, it will be a huge blow to the prestige of the world government, and may even shake the foundation of the world government. And right now, through Bruno's Gate Fruit, 3 CP0s have appeared in the Buster Call fleet with the Moonlight Moria and the terrifying weapon Doria. Kazan, who was rushing over with all his strength, also arrived at almost the same time. But they didn't know that their support came too late. If it had been achieved last night, it might have caused some trouble to the Noah family while Noah was lending Conqueror's Haki. But with the battle in New World coming to an end, Noah's Conqueror's Haki and Strength Fruit are also restored to a usable state. Marine lost its last chance to turn defeat into victory. Chapter 124, Part 2. At this time, Noah also knew about the destruction of the red-haired pirates, and he could finally let go and take action with all his strength. Kong, who was fighting fiercely with Noah, also felt that Noah's attack was more violent, and the lingering sense of crisis became stronger and stronger. Chapter 125, Part 1. New World. With the destruction of the red-haired pirates, the Whitebeard pirates and Big Mom pirates both felt tremendous pressure, but neither Whitebeard nor Charlotte Lin acted rashly. Robin and Mihawk, who were still fighting at this time, did not know that the red-haired pirates had been destroyed. However, the 3 CP0 members hiding nearby received orders from their superiors to save themselves as much as possible. Choose an opportunity to evacuate as soon as possible to avoid being discovered by Robin. After hearing this order, the 3 CP0s breathed a sigh of relief. Champagne and Judgment, who were also hiding nearby, decided to keep these 3 CP0 agents after receiving the news from Shiki. After all, these are 3 Marine Lieutenant General level masters. Naturally, the two of them will not show mercy to world government's thugs. Now is a good time to weaken world government. Just when those 3 CP0s were about to slip away, a slash struck from the clouds not far away. Bird Mask CP0 shouted, "Enemy attack!" Monkey Mask CP0 jumped into the air and quickly used his sword to slash. The 2 slashes collided with each other, and the shock wave produced blew out the silhouette of the ship that was previously hidden on the sea. Butterfly, stop maintaining your abilities. Use all your strength and defeat the enemy first. The female CP0 wearing a butterfly mask pulled her hands, and the camouflage cloth covering the reconnaissance ship disappeared. She is a user with the Paramecia Bubu fruit ability. Be careful, there is another enemy, the monkey mask reminded. Cloth armor. Rainbow dragon. Butterfly mask put on the armor first, and then a long dragon made of colorful cloth rushed towards the clouds in the distance. Among the clouds at this time, riding on the somersault cloud of Judgment and Champagne, the enemy's attacks and movements have been sensed. Judgment immediately controlled the somersault cloud and rushed towards the enemy quickly. The so-called somersault clouds are actually cloud walking boots made from Kongdao's processing technology, Kongdao shells, and Luo's organ transplantation technology. There is a high concentration of compressed, solidified cloud stored inside the cloud walking boots, which can be released and recycled through neural control to form a small somersault cloud on the sole of the shoe. For ability users, this thing can assist the ability users to fight on the sea and avoid falling into the sea. Of course, Judgment and Champagne also have other equipment and can enter the sea to fight. For example, the shark skin technology previously obtained from the ruins of the Kingdom of Atlan, coupled with the spacesuit technology obtained from the lunar ruins and Luo's transformation, resulted in a specially made deep-sea combat suit. This thing not only allows people with abilities to freely enter the sea, but also has the functions of underwater breathing, automatic offset of water pressure, and automatic size adjustment, so that people with abilities can avoid being powerless after falling into the water. Judgment entered the human-animal state, and at the same time he drew out the companion sword of the Yamata no Orochi, the Amonkanjian sword, from his body, and colorful flame clouds spread out from his body. Yamata no Orochi, a phantom beast, has 4 abilities. First, you can create 8 color flame clouds. Each color of flame cloud represents an emotion, namely joy, anger, sadness, fear, love, evil, desire, and emptiness. These clouds can affect the emotions of others. Second, gold swallowing smelting can create weapons in the body by swallowing ore, and at the same time form a body of steel and iron bones. Third, control floods. Yamata no Orochi represents floods, and those with its abilities can control water. Fourth, the 8 heads and 8 lives. The 8 heads of the Yamata no Orochi allow those with abilities to gain 8 lives. This fruit embodies 8 heads and 8 lives in Kurizumi Orochi, and other abilities are not shown at all, which shows how rubbish Kurizumi Orochi is. The emotional cloud of judgment hangs around. In an instant, the arrogance in Monkey Mask's heart was infinitely magnified. He seemed to be possessed by the god of war. He instantly chose to fight hard, jumped into the air, and rushed towards the trial without fear. But the bird mask fell into laughter. Butterfly mask burst into tears and trembled all over. Poof! The monkey mask was cut in two by the iron-cut Taienkanjian sword. He thought he could defeat the enemy in front of him until his death. At this time, Bird Mask finally reacted, but he still couldn't control his emotions and could only laugh while entering the orc form. Ha ha ha! The Bird Mask in the form of an ostrich did not confront the judge head-on. Instead, he chose to escape and spread his wings to fly high. However, the next moment, the Bird Mask's expression changed drastically because hundreds of goshawks made of sea water rose into the sky from the sea. Ha ha ha! Lanjiao Kaidiao. It's a pity that as a person with abilities, he is doomed to fail when faced with the attack of sea water. In less than 10 minutes, the Bird Mask was surrounded by dense seawater goshawks and smashed directly into the sea. As for the Butterfly Mask, Champagne, who was also hidden in the dark, hit his arm with the seafloor stone dagger and lost the power to resist. 3 CP0 members, 1 dead and 2 captured. At the same time, Mihawk also felt his body's exhaustion. Facing Robin's free-for-all ultimate moves, it became increasingly difficult for him to deal with them. So what if the world's greatest swordsman, a lone wolf with no power, facing a terrifying existence like Robin with almost unlimited physical strength, the only outcome waiting for him is failure? Especially after sensing the battle not far away, Mihawk knew that there were other masters from Sky Empire lurking nearby, and he couldn't escape at all. Hoo. It seems that I am arrogant. Mihawk swung a cross slash and blocked Robin's bone dragon. You seem to have realized the reality. Hoo. Ha ha ha. I didn't expect. Hoo. I would die in the hands of a woman. Miho gasped, and suddenly he clenched you with both hands. Come on, Nico Robin. This is my last stab. Gee. Mihawk poured all the domineering energy in his body into the Black Blade Knight, and then used all his strength to create a terrifying slash that penetrated the sky and the earth. Flower of Life, White Bone Transformation, Senju. Robin's exoskeleton expanded instantly, and a 1,000-meter giant stood on the sea. Senju, the skeleton behind the giant, suddenly took action. Boom boom boom. Senju Bone Fist is like a shooting star. Shock waves crossed the sky, and the roar shook the sky. Robin, who is like a god and a demon, also tried his best. The last slash that condensed all Mihawk's power was exhausted in the face of Robin's 1,000 Bone Fist combo. Robin's terrifying Bone Fist stopped in front of Mihawk, less than 1 meter away. At this time, Mihawk's hair has turned white and his face is haggard, as if he is an old man in his 80s or 90s. but he still maintains a standing posture wielding a sword. What an amazing physical strength, I lost. A breathy sound flowed out of Mihawk's dry throat. Robin lifted the giant state and appeared in front of the completely dead Mihawk. You shouldn't come here. Mihawk's corpse was silent. Chapter 125, Part 2. Robin took away the Black Knife Knight and threw the burning card casually. In the raging flames, the former world's greatest swordsman fell on this nameless, deserted island. Robin left without looking back. Countless flowers suddenly appeared on the entire abandoned island, as if to see each other off. In this battle, except for CP0 and 5 elders, no one outside knew that a world-class death battle broke out here. But Robin's power has made Mariajoya's 5 elders feel a little afraid and powerless. Even after living for hundreds of years, this is the first time the 5 elders have seen a person with abilities who can develop flower fruits to this extent.
Thanks for watching. You can find the next videos in the playlist linked in the info card, directly on my channel, or right here on the screen. And as always, if you have any feedback, feel free to share it in the comments too.